Yo, what's good, everyone? Can y'all hear us? Does everything sound proper? How is everybody doing? It's 2021, and we are here with Mr. Nunzio helping us start the year off right. This is Bridge the Gap. This is the show where we trying to bridge that gap of knowledge and share all sorts of interesting stories and history with y'all from people who just know stuff like Mr. Nunzio. And this is actually a part two. So we actually went through the whole first beginning of his story, and it was so deep, I should say, that after 3 hours, we still have so much more to talk about. And I'm not saying it was a boring, it was a litty 3 hours. We had so much fun covering stuff like, like what hip hop was like back in the day, back in New York, growing up for him, what it was like to actually be a part of Daddy's house with the Bad Boy Studios records, and to kind of go through the experience of being part of that in the beginning, what it was like to be dubbing and block parties, as Lamef is telling us in our chat over here. That's fresh too. I forgot about the dubbing lesson. Although for me, it looks like Nunzio is frozen. I don't know if that is what anyone else is seeing. You still with us?
Yeah, you hear me?
I hear you.
We hear you, but you do look frozen.
Okay.
Oh, there you
Now
go.
you're back with us. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically we were running through the story. We were listening to all the good stuff with Nunzio, and then we got to a point where we just ran out of time. And there's still so much left to go. I mean, a main focus of today, which I'm real excited, is going to be the history end of the week, because that's approximately where we got into the story. So all of that is in the first chunk. You can check it out. It's available on the Twitches and all that good stuff. And in the meantime, I think we can kind of get into this episode a little bit. So firstly, how are you? Did you have a good New Year's? Was it a fun time?
Oh yeah, I was on the EO Zoom to bring it in, which was great. Just a bunch of friends. We were rhyming right before it, and they pretty much kept the party going on. I had to bow out a little early because I actually worked on New Year's Day, and I was a tad bit tired by the time after all that drinking. It happens.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm really glad. I'm glad that you had a good time. It was a weird time, but it was good. I like the way that the internet enabled it. I saw like somebody going, imagine this was like 100 years ago, how kind of boring it would all be. But now is a good time. So we're kind of blessed in a sense. So you said before that you had, because before we get into back into your story with the whole end of the week, you did have a couple of more, bad boy stories you wanted to share with the people. So I feel like that would be a great place to start.
Okay, so the first one I want to do is the Godzilla soundtrack one, right?
The Kashmir song?
No. Was it? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
yes, because it's the fucking Led Zeppelin track.
Yes. Now, who's the drummer for Led Zeppelin?
I don't remember. I know I'm supposed to know it. I don't know it.
I know.
Jimmy Page.
There you go. Thank you. Jimmy Page. Yo, met him in the studio during the filming when they were making the song. So I just want to tell you how crazy it was to do that song. Now, I actually opted out on it. They asked me to assist on it. I was like, nah, I'd rather engineer other stuff, like Jimmy Lee to be the assistant. And he was stuck on it for like a month and a half, like almost every day going in there. And I remember one day bumping into him and being like, yo, how's that going? He's like, how's it going? And he shows me a DAT, right? And it has a list of all the versions on it. And yo, it was on like 200 mix, 218 version 3 -A, and then it would have like a little thing in parentheses, like bell in the middle of a song down lower. So like, yo, they literally went through a massive amount. This is like the Michael Jackson thing, because Michael Jackson would do like 120 tracks just on the music, but on one track would be the triangle that only comes in once 10 seconds into the song, but you got to mix that by itself and make sure it's right and mixed right into the song. So I see where Puff was going with it, but I was so glad I opted out because it was crazy. But you know, when Jimmy Page came in, it was to redo the drums on the song, and he was gonna play it live. So I'm like, oh, I gotta see this. You know what I mean? Like, so I go into the room, and they're like, could you help us set everything up? I'm like, oh, bet. And yo, don't lie, dude. They put the drum set all the way to the back of the studio. This is just like a great trick, you know what I mean, for anybody that's recording live drums. So he puts the kick down, right? And they build like a box over the kick. And then it goes straight out all the way to the front of the studio. And they draped it like with the packing blankets. So they created this whole contraption, and then they put a microphone like every, I'm gonna say 3 feet all the way to the end, so that when he's doing the kick, you would have the hard kick in the front, but then it'd be a little softer in the middle, real soft at the very end. You know what I mean? But now you had different versions of the kick that you can mix together to create mood. So you know how you would, a person would hit the kick and then just tap it lightly so it's a little bit lighter. Instead of having to do that, you could just go to the third microphone down the line and be like, that's the soft kick of the version of the kick. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I was amazed by it when I saw it, and I was like, yo, these dudes are geniuses. Like, and that's really, I think that's some old school like way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? But just to learn that trick alone, I was like, this is great. And so I just wanted to mention that one and the extensiveness of making a song like that. Like Puff put a lot into it. You know what I mean? He was actually on tour at the time, and Sony gave him their private jet. And he would literally go on this tour, perform, fly back to the studio just to listen to whatever version it was, or if anything got added, give his little feedback, go hang out, get back on the plane, go to wherever the next stop was, get ready to perform again. So,
Yo, that is a crazy ethic. Like, yo, it makes sense that Puff is doing as well as he's doing today. Hearing like that kind of level of dedication to that track and whatnot, especially because it's a big opportunity to be in the Godzilla. But yo, thanks for starting us off with that heavy knowledge nugget. The one thing I know about bands is that drums is the most expensive thing in the world. And it's what really adds all the cost to recording. So just sharing that is such a cool fucking tidbit to start us off. So thank you for that, man. I appreciate it a lot. You still with us? It froze up again.
yeah, we good. It's back. I'm going
Right.
to just use my hotspot now because the internet is getting crazy over here.
No worries. We got you. So yeah, what's the other stories that you wanted to share about Bad Boy?
Okay, so, all right. So you want to hear Locks and New Edition or DMX?
Both, but whichever. Let's start with
All right,
Locks.
I'm just saying one first. I'm going to tell both.
So I'm the kind of guy that likes to save the best for last, and DMX is like I'm a 12-year-old white boy when he pops. So like
Good.
this shit.
All right,
like,
cool. So we'll start with Locks.
Start with Locks.
So New Edition is coming in to do their song. Puff is had just gotten, I think, 3 songs to do on their new album, and it was like the reunion one. So Johnny Gill and Ralph Tresvant were both on it, and the Locks come in and they're dumb excited, yo. And they sit me down and they're like, listen, you're gonna record their rhymes on the rhyming piece of this song on the New Edition joint. So I'm like, oh snap, like y'all are rhyming on the New Edition shit. They was dumb hyped. So it's Styles and Jadakiss in there, and they're doing one of their back and forth type rhyme joints, writing it together. So I remember like them being, first of all, stupid excited. And then it's like they started it off with LO expertise. Please, you ain't got no rhymes like these. And it's like, yo, it was hot. I was like, oh, snap, this is going to be dope. So I go and I record them doing it. Then it's like maybe a half hour after we record it, we cycling the thing, man. Like, just keep listening to it. They're excited. And then New Edition shows up. So they walk in the room, introduce themselves to everybody. I'm like, oh, that's what's up. then one of them turns to Jada and Styles and is like, yo, could you write down the rhymes for us? And he was like, what? He was like, yo, and I was like, then I realized like, oh snap, I don't think this song is meant for them to rhyme on it. It's probably you've been writing for them to actually spit the rhymes. And I was like, oh snap. So I'm like, no, they don't write it down. I was like, that's my job. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't want to add insult to injury. I was like, yo, I got it. I'll write it out for y'all, etc. Puff walks in. He's like, yo, that LOX expertise, you got to change that to NE expertise, like for New Edition. You know what I mean? And it was like, okay, bet. And it's like they was hurt, dude. Like we did the whole session. They came in, they respit everything, and then left. And then these two dudes are sitting in the chairs like, yo, ain't nobody gonna believe that we wrote this shit, you know what I mean, and got it on the album and blah, say blah. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it on a CD for you. Like I'm gonna burn it with your vocals on it so that people know that you wrote that shit. And I'll give you a cassette too. But like, don't tell nobody, bro. Like, but I'm gonna look you out. Yo, they was dumb happy. Like, yo, thank you. Like, yeah, now niggas in the hood ain't gonna be like, I ain't write this shit. They gonna know. I was like, word, like I got you. You know what I mean? But I always found that one interesting because on the back end, they got like 15 grand for writing it. You know what I'm saying? As a check. So I was like, that's not bad, dude. Like I'm with that. I'll write a 16 for anybody for 15 grand. Like, what you want? 10 different versions? I got you, son. Like, got you. You know what I mean? So I always like that one.
That's
now
incredible.
we get to DMX. So just so you know, DMX, great artist, but I wasn't a fan at the very beginning. You know what I mean? So they're doing 24 Hours to Live. This is the Black Rob song. You know what I mean? Everybody's on it. Mace, the Locks. It's a freaking incredible song. DMX is the one that ends it off. So they're all in the room with me cycling the beat. You know what I mean? And they're writing to it. Another engineer comes in to record everybody. So we in the room, and this is a long process because there's so many people on it. But I remember them finishing it, and Puff walks in. So Puff is like, yo, let me hear the song. Boom, we start playing it, and I love that song. So everybody's verse is going, boom, I'm bopping my head all hard, and then it gets to DMX's part. I didn't like DMX's part. I always was like, yo, he seemed a little mad, angry, like a little overly aggressive, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't digging it. But it comes up, and I stop bopping my head, like, okay. Like, you know, it's all good. I'm not bopping as hard as I was, but I'm like, yeah, the beat is hot. So we go through it. The song ends, and Puff is looking at me the whole time. It stops, and then he goes, looks around the room, and he goes, Rashid. I was like, yeah? He was like, what do you think of that last verse? And I was like, oh, like, you're an asshole. Like, yeah, I don't like it. But I'm going to be honest with him. He knows how I do. So I was like, yeah, I didn't really like it. And he was like, yo, I need you to write that over. And then he walks out the room. So now, you know, everybody in the room is like, yo, none, what the fuck, dude? Like, blah, blah, blah. And yo, give it to DMX. This is why I always will have love for him. He's like, yo, stop. Everybody stop. I'll just write it over. It's okay. Like, I got it. And he started writing another one. And that's the one that made it to the record. But I always looked at it as like a turning point because that's when he was unsigned at that time. So they're trying to convince Puff that, yo, you should sign this dude. Like, he's the one out of all of us. Rough Riders, this is the one. You know what I mean? And Puff, like myself, wasn't really digging the whole, you know, being aggressive and shit on tracks. So me agreeing with him, I think saved him from even thinking of signing him. At that point, I think that shit got dropped to the wayside. So I always said, like, if I wouldn't have said that, maybe he would have ended up signing him, and that would have totally ruined DMX's career because he don't even like him like that. You understand what I'm saying? But instead, he ended up on Def Jam, made a whole bunch of hits, and the shit is amazing. But I do want to add this as a part of the story. So the time that I actually really appreciated DMX was I was working for Dream Hire, and there's this dude named Dax, and he works at Hammerstein Ballroom. So he was doing what was supposed to be his last performance at Hammerstein. So me and my buddy Sinclair was like, yo, we gotta go. I think Calabras was with us too. And we're like, my man Dax is like, yo, it's amazing here. Like, you ain't gotta pay for no tickets. I'ma sneak you up into the spot. You know what I'm saying? And we was like, bet. And yo, no lie, yo. We go inside of this building and we're like totally on the other side. My man literally opens up a door that like maybe I could fit through, like going straight in. But really, you had to turn to the side to really maneuver. And yo, it's like a trick door, but yo, we went through, opens up, we go through, open up the door. We right by the VIP bar upstairs. You know what I'm saying? You just walk out of the room and it's in the middle of the concert and all this. But that's where I gained my appreciation for him and his music. I already liked a few songs he had, but seeing him perform live, I was like, yo, I'm looking for the dude doing the ad-libs. Like, yo, where's the other nigga with the mic? Like, what's going on? And Sinclair's like, yo, that's fucking DMX. He's doing the ad-libs while he's rhyming. I was like, yo, that's impossible. But then I'm looking and I'm like, yo, this nigga's right. Like, yo, that's amazing to me, yo. And I know, like, when you listen, because I've done this before, you'll have trouble with a rhyme, but once you put it down and you hear it, you're like able to execute it because you've heard yourself doing it. And I think that's what he was one of his skills, because he definitely was hitting all the ad libs, kept rhyming, and you could understand every word he was saying. And I was like, damn, I'm fucking up. Like, this dude's a mad professional, and I'm sitting here like he's okay. You know what I mean? So I had to reestablish it. I definitely revisited some albums and gained my appreciation for DMX. So, but I saved him from being signed to Bad Boy.
That's crazy, man. Like your influence is like, but like, let's say like that's probably kind of true. There's probably a lot of truth in what you said, right? In regards to you literally impacted whether or not he got signed. Now I know for me, like I encountered DMX when I'm 12, and he's like my favorite rapper in high school. Like whatever. I think DMX was my favorite. Like, I mean, maybe Eminem, but probably DMX. I'm really like, I loved his energy, honestly. And then he had his 5-year run, and then all the other stuff happened, and you know, it is what it is with his career. But yeah, listen, I like that guy. The second DMX drops anything, it's gonna be like, fuck everything else, I'm gonna go listen to it. But the truth is, that wouldn't have been like a feeling I have if you had an influence like that. So in a sense, you made a lot of people's lives better, because that shit was a hot run for a lot of people. So I guess thank you sincerely for that. Because imagine he had been buried by somebody that didn't want to deal with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that would have been awful.
Yeah, not even just that. He just didn't even fit into the wave and the structure. Like the Locks were able to, you know, move it over to the things that Bad Boy did. I don't think that DMX had that in him.
Yeah,
and,
you're right.
And if he did it, it might have been one of them things where like it eats at his soul so much that his music would have never been able to be the shit that everybody appreciated him for.
Yeah,
because that just wasn't his wave, and that wasn't what he was meant to do. You know.
Agreed. And then you got, so now I'm gonna tell this is gonna be the final one I tell, even though I got mad stories, but Mace. So Mace was like my dude, you know what I mean? Black Rob was probably the one I was closest with, but like me and Mace like had a relationship in the studio, and we was mad cool all the time. And I always thought it was hilarious the way that he talked, because he would talk like slow, but I already knew he was intelligent. I'm just like, yo, this motherfucker's playing games, but the shit is dope. Like, I fucks with it. You know what I mean? So this is when he's working on his second album. So we're in the room, and something happened with whoever was supposed to sing on the first single, and he's like, yeah, we got Blackstreet is gonna do it and sing on your shit and blah blah blah, etc. And he was basically sitting with him going over the album and what they planned on doing. So Puff leaves, bunch of people leave. It's just me and Mace in the room. Now I told you Mace always talks like slow yeah and blah, etc. This was the first time he started talking to me and he was normal. And it like fucked my head up because I'm like looking at him. I'm like, yo, you sound like you went to college for like 5 years studying vocabulary now, right? You know what I'm saying? So he's talking to me and he's like, yo, like, I don't get it, yo. He's like, Puff trying to ruin my career. I was like, why did you say that? He was like, yo, I've been trying to be Murder Mace for the longest. I don't want to do all of this soft shit. I got murder bars, yo. Like, I can kill niggas with this shit. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I've heard him do it. So I'm like, yeah, I feel you. But, you know, your image isn't that right now. And that would fuck mad heads up. And then he's like, yo, but this nigga got Blackstreet on my first single. Yo, Blackstreet ain't popping no more. He's like, why are you trying to ruin me, yo? And I sat there and I thought about it like, damn, you're right, though. Like, Blackstreet's run is kind of over. And they're on your first single. And, you know, that album did not do well at all. You know what I mean? As a sophomore album, it just wasn't it. And my sister was a huge fan. I got the CD from him autographed. I had to give it to my sister. Like, you know what I mean? He was like, yo, this for you. And I was like, my sister loves you. Like, I got to give it to her. Here you go. You know what I mean? But I always was like the Locks. Those motherfuckers, you hear their music now. It wasn't like that when they was on Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Mace, who wants to be Murder Mace. Now, Black Rob was probably the closest to being on the gangster shit, you know, that he wanted to be on. But he was like so intellectual with it. He was more just like a Bronx cat, like killing it on the microphone. Then you had G-Dep. G-Dep to me was the best wordplay wise, but G-Dep didn't have the superstar personality. He a laid back dude. He'll write all day. He'll spit all day, but he don't want to be in the spotlight. You know what I mean? Which is why when you see his first video, there's very little excerpts of him and a whole lot of excerpts of other people dancing and doing shit because his personality wouldn't shine through on camera. You know what I mean? So I found that one, that's kind of where I figured that whole thing out. Like, you already knew where Puff was, you know what I'm saying, as far as the music goes. And, you know, you knew that when he gave Big Juicy, and that's the first shit he comes out with, when that's like the hardest dude on the planet. But it's like you're drawing in those people by softening it up a little bit and making it palatable for people who aren't into that whole gangster stuff. So that's another explanation.
To your credit, on the point of Juicy, that like Super Nintendo bar he does is one of those ones that caught like everybody, because it's just like, yo, Biggie plays Super Nintendo too, right? And I like, so I remember hearing that conversation a lot in my life where like
he plays both, right? He played both. He played Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, well, yeah, but it's just like, I remember that because who the fuck else would even like really mention it, you know? But I don't know. I thought that's a really, to your point, it was a good move in terms of accessibility and getting a lot of people to go into the album and listen to some of the other stuff.
Yeah, but you know, that's one of those things. It's like you want an artist to be themselves and all of this, but unfortunately in the industry, for a lot of people, it was like, you got to do this. And I need you to do this. You know what I mean? Now, Big was able to flip any idea that you gave him and make it so that everybody would like it. But not everybody has that talent. You know what I mean? Some people, it's like, let me be in my lane and I'll freaking murder it. Taking me outside of the lane is a little crazy. But to Mace's credit, I think he did a great job writing-wise with everything that he did, especially on the first album. And the best song ever made that will never come out is the one they did in Toronto. They went on, I mean, not Toronto, in Trinidad. They took a trip with a bunch of people and made mad songs. And one of them was the Prince Kiss. I think I said it in the last one, but I'm gonna say it again. Yo, that's like one of the best songs ever. That shit was a classic. And Prince, of course, was like, no, you can't jack my song and use it. It's not happening. Which I also understand knowing Prince. So that's what's
Fair
up.
enough.
Yep.
That's really cool, man. That was very entertaining. I was just sitting there enthralled the entire time. I love the way that you tell stories. So I guess if we want to bring it back into, I guess, your life, for everyone that wants to catch up, well, we did a whole other video, and the short version is Nunzio did a whole fucking lot and is seminal to a lot of different things throughout hip hop history. So he's a very fascinating guy. But at this point in the story, we're getting to where you guys started end of the week, I think, is where we kind of left off. And that's where
Yeah, I got one thing in between. So I kind of
Cool.
messed up on the timeline. So
No
it
worries
was
about that.
actually summer of 1999 is where I actually stopped with the Bad Boy. And that's where we kind of parted ways. And then I got a job working for Dream Hire, which is the place that delivers the equipment to all the studios. So I went from being in the studio as an engineer to being the person that delivers it as a job while still doing the engineering thing on the side for a little while. But I definitely, through the Dream Hire, went to Whitney Houston's house. You know, that's how I met Bob Power, a bunch of people just delivering equipment. And what I really liked about it is there's some freaking superstars, like legends in music. And they would be like, oh, I need this piano to come to my house, this guitar, whatever. And we deliver it. And they're just like the nicest people, happy to see you. Hey, you want to smoke a joint? Like, you know what I mean? Because I'll tell you, that was definitely a requirement on the job. If you didn't smoke weed, it didn't make sense for you to work at Dream Hire.
I mean, that's a pretty cool job requirement. But man, wow, that's
Right?
crazy. Like,
I
do you think
agree.
about what you just said is I took this job that was related to my field, but got me a lot of connections to meet a lot of people, right? You're able to name drop people you met. Now, a lot of people may look at a situation we're doing, I don't know, delivery may be like demeaning in some way because of ego and shit. But yo, look at the opportunity it created for you. That's a big time knowledge nugget. And you kept it related to your field, which
That's
is where it
always the
became really
lead.
wise about it. That's
Exactly.
really cool.
So I've always managed to keep in the field somehow, even if it's outside of the actual industry. But like, I'm gonna say this: in '99 is the year that hip hop sold more than rock and roll. Rock and roll had been dominating for freaking decades. You know what I mean? And once that happened, that's where I feel like everything got tainted with hip hop. And every label in 2000 created that urban department. You know what I'm saying? Which is supposed to be the hip hop department, basically, but urban music department. And the people, they literally just hired, labels just hired black people that were black. They were like, yo, do you know anything about this? They're like, well, you're a person of color. You like this music? Okay, cool. You're hired. And that's where we had the fall off. Because now you got people that are A&Rs, don't really know much about music, but they're like, oh, I like this guy. I need somebody that sounds like him or does what he does because I know how to fuck with that. So it's like the people leading it, the level got dumbed down to a certain degree. And that's where all the taintedness happened. And now you got 10 people that sound alike and it got a little crazy. So I was actually happy that I was working for Dream Hire and not really on the industry side anymore, but I would still have that connection to the industry because actually Jive Zomba was 2 floors below where Dream Hire was. So Petey Pablo, Neo, a bunch of people that got signed to Jive, we would see them all the time and they were freaking great people and it kept us linked to the industry, you could say.
Yo, that's pretty incredible. Honestly, you're just like you just keep being interesting. But shut up, Merker, because you just subscribed to my Twitch, and that's the rules on Twitch. So shut up, Merker Music, and for being dope like that. So that's fucking cool. That's because you're giving us such knowledge that he felt so enthralled. So thank you for helping that happen. That's fucking cool. Yo, people are fucking sitting there loving what you're saying in this chat, by the way. People are being inspired right now. So I want you to know you're not just speaking to me. You got an audience of invested people on the edge of their seats watching this with me. I'm not alone in this feeling, man. So thank you so very much for this, dude. So yeah, if you want to continue, man, feel free.
So Dream Hire was a great job because we had started EO Dub basically in August of 2000. So third Sunday in August of 2000, we started it. And we were there for a few months. And then eventually we got, we relocated to the Pyramid. So we started at Baby Jupiter, which was a great place. But I was able to take equipment from Dream Hire and take it out on loan and bring it to these places. You know what I mean? So it was like the greatest thing in the world. The merger was fantastic. And
so hold up. You were able to what? Because you were working at the place that had the gear, and they let you borrow the gear.
Yes,
to go run the event.
Yep.
And that's a way to save some costs right there.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. So when I first went, it was agreed that myself and Big Zoo are a group called Solid Ground. Then you had Eye to Eye, which was Vice Versus, rest in peace, Ego Trip, and Prolific One. This dude named Joey Ty had seen us all performing on separate occasions and liked what we did, and literally was like, I have an idea where we have dope MCs that could freestyle and work with each other to host an open mic instead of it being a personality or a person that just talks or crack jokes. That way you could actually display what skills you're looking for in an MC because these people possessed it. And it was a great idea. So Zoo gets married, and pretty much when he comes back from his honeymoon, he calls me and he's like, yo, in a couple of weeks, we could do this this open mic and they want us to host. And I was like, that. So now you talking about 5 people getting on stage and hosting. So when we went to Baby Jupiter, I realized like this is too much. Like 5 people on this little stage is way too much. And I basically had opted out. They needed somebody to do the door and all of this. And I was like, you know what? I'll do the door. Like, you know what I mean? While y'all do all of this and it'll be cool. And Scram Jones showed up because Joey Ty couldn't make it. And he had gotten diagnosed with cancer, like shortly before we were supposed to do that. And quite honestly, he never made it to EO Dub to see what he started. And unfortunately, he passed away like 6 months after we had started. So it was a terrible thing, but I know he had a wife at the time and he has a son in this world. And we definitely plan on doing something for them at some point in time. But so we go and from Baby Jupiter. Baby Jupiter is popping. Scram Jones is the man. And then the engineer doesn't show up one day. So me being an engineer, I was like, yo, I'll go in the booth and do it. Like, it's not a problem. I'll figure it out. So now I'm in the booth with Scram Jones. And that's where I realized Scram is like one of the greatest DJs ever, because this is when you're using wax. And I would be up there EQ and stuff, getting it right on the microphones. And this dude is spinning the music. And he literally would have 2 crates behind him. And he would take out like 5 records at a time, put them under each turntable so that he could go through beats. Because unlike most people, when you do like a cypher with 3 or 4 people, you know, they might play the same song and just keep it going, the same instrumental. He was like, okay, this person went first. When the second person comes on, I'm gonna switch to this. And it would always be like the newest instrumentals out. Like you might have heard a new song on Friday, on Sunday, he's playing the instrumental. So, you know, he was definitely digging and going to whatever spots you could get to get the bootlegs and the instrumentals, etc. But it was incredible to watch. And I definitely, after that, was like, DJ is not one of the things I'm trying to do, because this shit don't look easy, but you make it look easy, and I love it. So I stick with the recordings, and I remember we used to do meetings. So we would meet up before the beginning of the show, have a little conversation. It was a nice little bar in there, and we would catch one of the booths and just sit down, build about what was going on. When James came into the fold, who's the manager now, he was like, yo, we need to monetize this. There's mad money we can make. We need to start a bank account. And he came with the whole business side of doing it, because he had done a bunch of hip hop events with internet people who were just giving away money to do hip hop events. So he had done events, a lot of great ones, and he wanted to do the same thing with us. So I'll fast forward. I remember coming in one day and they're like, yo, Vice and James are like, we came up with this thing called the MC Challenge. And they were like, this is the alternative to battling, because the battle scene was crazy at the time. You know, so he's like, we were anti the battle pretty much, because it's a bunch of negative words being thrown at people. You don't even know people, and it gets very derogatory, you know what I mean, for people with such skills. So they wanted something that would enhance or show and prove that you have the skills of an MC. So they came up with these 5 rounds. The first one was written. Obviously, you write, spit or written over a beat. And at the time, the DJ would just play a popular instrumental, you spit on it, which is something you would do on the radio if you made it there. And that made sense. The next one was a cappella, no beat. Let's see how your flow is. Let's hear every word. Let's see what your wordplay is like, and see what your voice can do. Next round, that actually, it became the grab bag, but initially we would take words out of a bag and hold the words, and the person would have to use that word in the rhyme as they were rhyming. But we found that to be a little bit difficult, you know, especially because you got to read and you're flowing already. So it's a lot for the mind to do. So we changed it to the grab bag eventually. Then they had beat juggling is what we call it. Everywhere else, it's MC versus DJ, which kind of makes sense, because the DJ is going to play 3 beats, different tempos, different type of beats. He might play a jazz instrumental. You don't know what's going to happen. Could be rock, could be jazz. It could be freaking country, because I've seen that happen before too. And the whole point is for you to rhyme over the beat, never break the flow. Don't be like, yo, oh, yo. None of that. It's like, yo, complete flow, keep it going, ride the beat, make it happen. And then the last round started out with 2 of the hosts rhyming with one of the contestants, right? And that's the cipher skills. And we were like, yo, our guys are so up there that we're going to put you with them and see what you do with 2 really good freestyling MCs. And that eventually evolved into the cipher skills round, being all the contestants actually rhyming and trading force with each other.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest rounds. Like, I mean, the one I love the most personally is the one with the DJ. Watching that shit go, that's my shit. But the idea of the cipher round at like a philosophical level is the coolest thing about end of the week. Because, like, I don't have the personality for battling, but it's almost like to prove you're a master MC and end of the week, it's not only that you're good, you have to be able to make others do good. You have to be able to carry off of what the last guy said, but also big up the next guy to take the torch and carry it proper. And I was like, that's so inspiring as like an idea of how like people should interact with each other. So that's fucking cool, dude.
Well, for me, as a person that participated in it, and honestly, I participated with the host. You know what I mean? The first winner of the MC Challenge, who was Webified, who eventually spread it to France. Then you had Big Zoo. I had Vice Versus. and pro. And then it was me in this freaking competition. And I tell you, I did okay in it. I know I could have done better, but after I did it, I literally was like, I know exactly what it is I have to work on to be a better MC. So it's like I've been watching it, but actually being in it just opened my eyes. And then I was more adamant about getting people into it. Because I was like, yo, if you rhyming, dude, and you really serious about this being a career, you have to do the MC challenge. It's like the measuring test for where you're at right now. And it's your own personal measuring test. You don't have to win, but you got to at least be better than what you think you are, or evolve yourself to be better than what you are. You know what I mean? So it pointed out all the little things that I needed to do. I definitely was like, I ain't better at freestyling. And, you know, I did that. So, yeah, I was like, yo, this is like incredible. I can't believe that my friends made this up, and this competition is incredible. So definitely they made that happen. And I think maybe I'm gonna say a month later, they came up with the whole end of the week. Before it had a different name, which I don't even remember, but it was Vice that came up with it. And he was like, yeah, end of the week, but WEAK. And I was like, yo, that's genius. Like, yo, that's incredible. Double entendre. We do it at the end of the week, even though some people technically will say that's the start of the week. I was like, nah, Sunday is still a day off. It's the end of the week. Your week starts on Monday. Fuck that. So it was the double entendre, but it was beautiful. And I just love the whole concept, like end of the week, yo, like word. Like I could definitely dig that, especially in a group called Solid Ground, where you talk about such things. I was like, yeah, I'm fucking with this. So now I'm like engineering again and doing this. But like I said, the beauty of it is having that equipment. So I was literally bringing in, at the time, I brought in ADATs. And I literally, about 3 weeks ago, was going through my storage room and found the first MC challenge on ADATs. And I literally have a friend downstairs that still has the ADATs. So I'm about to transfer that over and see what
I
it
have no
sounds.
idea what an ADATs is. I've never
Okay,
heard
so
that one time in my
basically
life,
an ADAT is a VHS tape, right? So do you know what that is?
I know what VHS is.
All right, cool. Because yeah, you never know, dude. That shit doesn't exist for some people. But
That's
the
fair.
VHS,
That's fair.
yeah, the VHS, it was another form of tape, just like a cassette, just like a 2-inch reel. And you would put it in this machine and it would break it up into 8 tracks. So I could literally go in and put vocals on 8 tracks, you know, beat, whatever it is. But I had 8 tracks to do it, and it timestamps it at the same time. So if I did 3 ADATs together, you could link all of them together and they would roll together at the same time. So that's what I was doing. Only needed 8 because we had 3 microphones and the DJ, which is only 5 tracks. So we were straight. But yeah, I found the originals and I'm definitely going to transfer those over and possibly play it at some point in time.
I got a question. What are the 5 tracks the DJs use for? Why do they only need 5?
No, the DJ has 2 tracks as the DJ because of the 2-track stereo. But the other 3 was for the microphone. So you had 3 different microphones.
Okay, so it's 5.
So it's the input, so I can mix everything and make it work.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. So we go through there and then we end up in the pyramid. So unfortunately at Baby Jupiter, there was this whole Giuliani thing going on, and he's trying to change the area where we're at in the Lower East Side in the Village. He's trying to get people to pay $1,000 to rent apartments down there and clean up the area and basically get hip hop was a target at the time. They had hip hop police that I dealt with at freaking Daddy's house, and it was just a thing. They were definitely on the hunt. Like, yo, we got to get rid of this music. It's gangster. It's going to influence people the wrong way, and et cetera, et cetera. So when I was doing the door, there was a cop on the beat that used to come through all the time, every week. And we would sit outside and I would talk to him. And he literally came one day and told me, like, yo, they send me over here to find something wrong so that I could shut you guys down. But he was like, I actually like what you're doing. And I've walked in and I've heard the shit. It's pretty dope. Like, and he's from the LES. So he was like, I've seen all types of stuff here. And this is definitely one of the good things for the area. So he never went about, you know, trying to shut us down. But one night we go there, we finish, everything is a good night. And some people came in at like 1:32 in the morning, pulled the fire alarm in the room. Fire department came, and then they're like, yo, you got to be shut down. They were like, you don't have a liquor license, so your liquor license is dead. And the dude was like, the owner was actually like, fuck you to the cops and the police and everything. And when we met with him, he was like, you guys have free reign. You don't have to pay me nothing for this place. It's, oh, you bring your own. You could smoke in there now, so big cats could burn up in there too, and bring your own freaking booze. So it was like, it actually elevated it to a degree because people were more eager to come through. Like you would pay, honestly, I believe it was $3 to get into the spot to start with. You know what I mean? So it was not a problem. And I still would have people that came to the door like, yo, I was trying to get this Colt 45 for like, so can I give you $2 so I can spend this dollar and get this Colt 45 to drink? And you know, you work out deals with people like, don't do it next week, but I got you. You know what I'm saying? So it was interesting. It definitely changed the vibe a little bit, but it was in a good way because we were dealing with respectful people. So because of that, though, the owner sold the spot. And when he told us, we ended up in a place called the Pyramid. Now, the Pyramid is a legendary place. People like Madonna have been in there. I believe Nirvana's performed in there before. So there was this whole big, like, legendary up-and-coming artist going there. Blondie definitely performed there before. So it was like a kind of like a big deal. And honestly, I had been there before for some hardcore shows when I was going to those a lot. And so we go there. There's a new sound man. His name is Mikey. He's freaking incredible. So it's like, I get to chill again. But instead of hosting, I was like, I'm going to do the door again. I like socializing with people. I could still see the show and it was fun. But what I did do was I set it up so that we could get wireless microphones while we were performing every now and then, you know what I mean? And also recording a lot of the live stuff that we did. So the first few years, it was just me doing it to do it. But as we progressed, it ended up being like a big thing because we started making mixtapes with them. But the first one that we ever did was Scram Jones. He had a crew called High Society. You had myself and Zoo at Solid Ground. And then you had Eye to Eye. And they did, we did a mixtape. And when we put it out, the reception was great. And then, you know, my thing is doing the music. So now I'm using my resources to put us in studios to record stuff, start doing collaborations with all of these dope MCs coming through.
Yo, that's nuts, man. I didn't even realize y'all did that. Like I've heard a lot of these live things. Like the other day you were playing a bunch of live sessions. So is this like those live sessions, are these linked to what you were doing back then? Is this the same kind of stuff? Because yo, first of all, the quality is incredible. Like it sounds dope. The energy's lit. Like it was like a really cool vibe. But I didn't even realize that y'all were like making mixtapes and all sorts of stuff like that. Like you really like created a business out of an open mic. And I'm not trying to like belittle it, but I'm saying it like that because who the fuck creates a business out of an open mic that lasts until today?
I agree with you. I said the same thing. But for me and Zoo, it was different. Like Vice and Pro knew James as a manager. We didn't. So to us, it was like, this is great. Because if I have a problem, it's not a friend of mine, I could say something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to hold my tongue. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. Of course, he's family now, so you would never look at it that way. But he made a lot of great decisions for us. You know what I mean? So I definitely am a big fan. But I'll tell you, once we moved to the pyramid, it became like a movement. So you're there on a Sunday, and now you're getting like the greatest MCs in New York. I guess at the time there was really nothing going on a Sunday night, for one, but two, there weren't as many open mics at the time. And I'll tell you this, dude, like at certain point, we were probably the only open mic in New York, like doing that as far as hip hop goes. Like there were other open mics like with comedy, or they mix it up with poetry, or you could do whatever your talent is. And honestly, we opened up the mic to anybody. If you had poetry, if you had jokes, you could have done that at EO Dub. It just became a place where MCs were drawn to because they knew they could get it off over there.
As a New York City MC, I can co-sign. There were no open mics like that before end of the week. And then after end of the week, suddenly things started sprouting up here and there. There was a Monday thing that sprouted up not far from where EO Dub did. But all that stuff came and went. EO Dub has been going strong for 20 years. So it's just like, it's another level. It's constantly, I tell people, right, because it's the longest running open mic in New York City. And then I say, therefore, the world, because there's not going to be any other city in the world where you would be able to get the foot traffic and the people to like have a weekly open mic running constantly on a regular basis. Only in New York City you'd be able to get something like that.
Very
It's
true,
crazy, man.
Very true.
So yeah, man, this is cool. I'm really enjoying the conversation. Sorry, I got distracted because I have to I'm hitting the button to like switch you guys as you guys are talking. Man, I was just thinking too, like I find myself drawn to EODub as well, right? And it's crazy that you're saying it because it's my experience. Like, listen, I've done a bunch of open mics where it's kind of everything and anything. And the thing about that is that the audience tends to kind of not care, actually, is what I find, right? Like, yeah, the pockets of audience that care about a particular thing will care about that particular thing. Shut up, Masla. I saw your comment there. That's fucking nice of you to say. I appreciate you. But like on the other hand, it's like what EO Dub is a place for me to study. Like I haven't necessarily participated in the MC challenge, but I started writing acapellas and shit because I'm like, yo, if I do go into the MC challenge, maybe I need to have some writtens and shit that are actually kind of tight and like take the best ofs here. Cause my like honestly, every single time I go, I want Big Zoo to be like, I didn't know you fucking rhyme like that. He's never done it yet. So every single fucking time, it's like, how am I going to get Big Zoo? What song is it? What shit am I going to have? And so like, it makes me want to step my game up and it makes me want to like be better with it. And I do. The one time he did comment was the most recent thing I wrote. So I was like, okay, it wasn't quite what I wanted, but he commented. He was listening. That's cool. And so it's just knowing that that's the culture. And everybody's so kind, and that's what I like. Like I'm not the hardest dude in the world. I'm like the opposite of that shit. So the kindness and the idea where like, it seems like the more empowering and strong your message is, the more love it gets at EO Dub. And that to me is like the coolest fucking shit ever. So like I totally relate it, but to see you guys have planned that into the culture, like even back to what you were saying, to be the anti-battle rap in a sense, it worked, right? Because that's a whole other thing. It's not this ego trip. I don't know if it was ever. I don't know anything about that side. But from my experiences with it, it's not a bunch of big egos. It's a bunch of showing love. And I think it's a testament to what you created, that in end of the week, Quebec, all the way over here, that same feeling exists all the way up here, like, and I'm pretty sure because I talked to a dude in Switzerland who was involved with End of the Week Switzerland, and his feelings towards End of the Week were exactly the same. So, I mean, that's 3 countries that kind of parallel this motive that you guys created. So I think that's fucking cool, man. I can't confirm the UK, but I'm pretty sure the UK's got the same kind of love for it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Let me chime in, yeah. Like over here, obviously we had DJ Snuff campaigning this thing for years, and Snuff carried this flag. He showed a lot of people what was going on. And he had a thing called Speaker's Corner at the time, which was like the realest MCs possible come to this spot. There was no gimmick bars anywhere because it was not accepted. This place was about soldiers, revolutionists, everything, which kind of transcended into the message of EO dub. Because when the dub came around, no one came around with no fraff talk. It was some real heavy mentals, which to me is the sign of ending the week, because we ain't here to just talk any form of chit chat and niff naff. We're here to talk something that will change your global landscape. Because one thing that does connect us is we all have a struggle, every part of the globe that we're in, And when we come together, it's such a brotherhood, sisterhood. It's family, and it's really amazing. I've been traveling 5 countries every year since 2015. Yeah. And I'm totally blown away, brother. I am absolutely blown away. I left my heart in Quebec. Yeah. I said, I love the country. I don't even speak French, but I love that place. Yeah. And I got the blessings of going there late in the year and it was hot. I was wearing shorts. I was sweating like a madman. And 2 days after, 2 days after I left, it was knee-high snow. So I know that the blessings was with me, So
Yeah.
like, everywhere I've been on this EO dub campaign has made me an absolute soldier to the cause because it deals with a realness that you can't fathom anywhere else in any other challenge you see. Every challenge is about grease, egos, and so forth. This absolutely eradicates that. And I appreciate it so much.
So there you go. You just got a big cosign on that idea from the
Oh yeah.
UK. And if you guys don't know who that is, that's Mass Law. I haven't talked to him much, but he hosted one of the EOW Zoom calls I attended one time. He blew my fucking mind. I followed him on Twitter or Instagram, and I've watched a lot of what he's done. I'm pretty sure you did a contest or were involved in a contest at one point. I'm pretty sure you're doing some interesting things over there, and people should go ahead and follow you. That's what I'm trying to say.
Man, love for that, Right now I'm building stuff, but the EO dub is always a campaign that I deal with, you get me? And I fly the
Yeah,
flag
man.
over here. I'm
Yeah.
setting up
Respect.
all the shops, So what's gonna come real soon is the EO dub cipher moment because I found a wonderful location. And yeah,
Nice.
plans is in the plans. You get me?
Yes.
That's fresh, man.
Yes.
I
My
appreciate that.
Lord is one of our ambassadors. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? But let me say this too about that MC challenge because I liked what you were saying too. The very first one that we did in Baby Jupiter, and I remember this moment because it really encompasses what the competition is about. So this was the first time we were doing it, and we did the first round. Everything was great, but Webified was the first one in the second round, and he was gonna do something. But he's like, yo, I really like what I'm hearing now. I feel inspired. I'm going to do this joint about my dad. And the acapella was about his pops. And it was real deep and emotional. And yo, after he finished, not only did he get mad hand claps and people was like loving it, the next person that came on, and I believe it was a guy named Warlock, he got on. He was like, yo, man, that was beautiful. And bigged up the guy that went before him. Like, yo, that was incredible. Like, I'm feeling that. You made me change what I was going to write too. And then he spit something more emotional and true to him. You know what I mean? So by the time we got to the end of the competition, we were like, yo, everybody's bigging up each other for good rounds. People are coming, giving each other pounds during the freaking competition. And we were like, this is exactly what we wanted. Like, you people are in competition with one another and straight envying and enjoying what the other artists you're competing against are doing. And that's exactly what we want. It's a vibe. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to hate on you. I'm not trying to rip your head off. I'm trying to compete with you. You know what I mean? And I've got respect for you as an artist, and you get that respect back. So it was like the greatest thing in the world. And
I'll
we
tell you
had no
one thing.
Uh-huh.
From my perspective, is you see when you do the world finals and you have that whole week of bonding, yeah, it makes it hard for you to want to go in and tear off someone's head because you've turned into, that's your brother right there.
Yeah.
So you go in there and you master your art, you show your MC skills, and I appreciate that shit 100%.
Yes. Yeah, we created a respectful environment. That's for sure. So let's fast forward
Amazing,
back
man.
to the pyramid. We get to the
Let's do
pyramid.
it.
This place has the greatest stage in the world. Like, honestly, of all the New York venues, their stage is one of the better stages because, you know, there's stages where you'll stand on it and as like me being 6'1", you're on stage, but if you're like 5'7", I'm like looking you right in the eyes. You know what I'm saying? Because the stage ain't that big. This stage was literally 3.5 feet high. So when you're on it, everybody has to keep their eyes either straight ahead or look up to see you perform. And the sound system was dope. So it created this whole like, oh, this is like the stepped up, the upgrade, you know, to performing. But it also made it so that we were getting mad people to come through all the time. So one of the things that made the open mic special was actually the hosts. The hosts were very good, very professional, and created a synergy between themselves that couldn't be matched by anybody, I don't feel.
Yo,
And
that's huge. You know what the knowledge nugget you just gave is? Because, yo, a lot of people want to talk about music scene savings and how to build scenes and stuff. And one of the things I realized is during one of the more successful runs in Montreal, there was a consistency to the hosts in these events and a consistency to the artists that created a core bonding experience, right? So if we take a look at what you're describing through end of the week, first of all, it needs to be said that it's every Sunday up until COVID started and it was forced to stop. Like this, like is like every fucking week consistency. That means people know that you're able to go on this time and it's going to be there. And if you want to perform, you're going to be there. Would you guys start on time? I don't actually know. Was that a thing or did you guys start
I
like yeah,
mean,
at the end of the
well, this is the thing. We try to be on time, but you know, you got a manager of the club and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
But we were consistently there. Put it that
Fair
way.
enough. So let's say as much as possible on time, punctual with it. So people know, okay, I got to be here by this time, let's say in general, in order to perform. So people got to know about that consistency. But then also, like, I mean, I've seen Propane Dude talk. I've seen Big Zoo talk. I mean, we're seeing you here. We've seen like the vibe of the people involved in this shit, right? So it creates this atmosphere. So who creates the atmosphere? The host, the MCs of the event, right? The people carrying it down. So in a sense, it's like we can all look at that as like a use case if we're thinking about it in a more business terms. How can we replicate the success of this? Is having the right cast of people to make the right kind of fucking vibe, to bring the right kind of people in, but also adding a level of consistency to it, right? So you can't be flipping shit up all the time. You can't be changing shit up everything. It's got to have that degree of it, because you said it was at the pyramid. Like it's almost part of it. Like end of the week, Sunday night at the pyramid. Big Zoo's gonna be there. And so like you can kind of almost create a whole branding around this series of ideas to make your event the big thing, to a point where even now, Sunday night, 9 o'clock, end of the week, virtual open mic, and it kind of drills in. It's the same time, same. And if you think about it, even with the Batman, same bat time, same bat channel, it's all like that. It's like it's a universally good idea. So thanks for dropping that knowledge nugget, dude. I love the way that we can learn with you.
Yeah, so consistency was the greatest. But the chemistry between these guys on stage was incredible, to the point where even the most established MCs that would come through would respect them. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's what's up. Like, you just spit some real crazy gems, et cetera, et cetera. But the best thing about it was how they helped the other MCs that would get on stage. People would get on stage, you know, and they'd be by themselves, not really into it. And these dudes would be behind, like, yeah, come on, let's go. Like hyping the crowd up. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest, I had never seen that before at any type of function. Like you got your man that's with you that'll do your ad libs, and you know, people that know you, but you don't have total strangers like, yeah, spit that, and hyping you up, like go in, like you're dope. You know what I mean? So we were literally we used to call Vice the battery pack. You know what I mean? Because he throw the battery right into your back while you on stage. and it's the truth. And it was like an amazing thing because now these MCs are getting consistency of performing and becoming better MCs themselves. And then you're getting the acknowledgement from the people you respect as hosts, you know? So the trade-off was crazy. And I'll admit this too. The energy in that building every week became like fuel for me. Like, cause it'd be like, I could have the worst week, but if I go to EO Dub on Sunday, the energy exchange in that building would fuel me to get at least to next Sunday, sometimes further. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely can empathize with that entirely. I'm not, because part of what you're describing is crazy for me to listen to, because end of the week, having that Sunday nights, even my girlfriend just kind of got into it, right? Like, this isn't something she argues, sometimes she's like, whatever. But this time she was like, you know what? I like the music. I like the vibe. I like the energy. It's like, we get to know you. Like, she's seen you rap a whole bunch of times. She knows exactly who you are, type of thing at this point. So like, she was excited that we are able to do this,
All right.
But like week over week, I find it's like, I know I missed last week. I was just fucking done and it's holiday, whatever. But like, even tomorrow, I'm like, yo, end of the week's coming. I'm fucking stoked. I'm fucking going. I mean, it's like I look forward to it. It's like, and it's also not something I host or anything. So I just get to like be there. And
Right.
it's fucking cool. And that's also kind of fucking nice, right? Especially with the life I'm currently living. So that's just like, it's like I get to just be at this great fucking event. I don't know. I like it a lot. And the fact is you're describing this because we're talking like what, the 2000s at this point?
Yes.
Like earlier.
Yeah.
And we're also talking about the same feeling in 2021. That's
right.
magical, dog.
Right.
Magical, honestly.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. Like, so this is where I think we became like overly proud of, not even overly, but like super proud of what we had done. Is there was like a major snowstorm or a storm that was coming through. And we were like, nah, we're going to do it. We're going to do the open mic anyway. Like, we'll show up there. People will show up. You know what I mean? It'll work. And it wasn't the biggest crowd, but people came out. And then you would do the show. And these are the nights where I'd be like, yo, these are my favorite nights. Because it's not as many people in the crowd. And one thing you have to learn as an artist is no matter how many people are in the crowd, you go all out and you do your shit so that at least one person in that audience is going to go home and be like, I'm looking this dude up. I'm buying his record, or even possibly buying some merch or merchandise from you. You know what I mean? That night, once you get off, because people would have CDs on deck. I'm going to perform this song off of my album. You know what I mean? This is number 12 on the 17 song CD. And, that's how you would sell yourself. You know what I mean? So it definitely worked, and mad appreciation for that. And then you got like 9/11 happens, and we were open the week of that Sunday after 9/11. And I remember that very well because people came in like to spit their regular stuff, but the first person that went on in the middle of his song, he's like, yo, I can't do it. Like, this is messing with me. Like, I want to freestyle about this stuff that happened this week. And he literally freestyled about 9/11. And it was like everybody started doing the same thing. Like, people had lost people. People were still looking for people. It was like very, it was like therapy for the disaster that happened,
That's big, man.
Yeah.
But that's actually like really cool at the same time that it can create that kind of a channel. Do you want to play a song or something to show the people that are here? Because I got to use the washroom real quick, and I'll be back in like 2 minutes real fast.
Got you. So
cool. Thank you so much.
You know it. So of course I'm going to promote the Big Zoo album. And he's got the new No Beast So Fierce on all platforms.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the new video for Black Woman, Bronze Queen.
I was gonna say you was gonna play a video.
I should play the video. You
can stream through the share, and everybody will see because your screen is still up.
Got you. We're gonna do that. Hold on. Uno momento.
And a big reminder to everybody out there, if you enjoy the video, please make sure to head to YouTube, search Big Zoo, give the video a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the page that it's on. You know what I mean? Do all that. That's how you support. That's how you show your support to the artist.
All right. There we go. We'll make it happen. This is beautiful. This is definitely one of my favorite songs off of it. When he made it in the studio, I was like, yo, you know this is it, right? Like, you know this is one of those joints. Oh, wait, I got to share the screen this time. Aha. Oh, there we go. Share. All right. There we go. Black women, brown queen.
Black woman, bronze queen, brown beauty in every shade in between. Deep DNA type love, it's in my genes. Respect and protect black woman by any means. Black woman, bronze queen, brown beauty, you know what I mean. From your mind state to how you season your collard greens. Respect and protect black woman by any means. To mom Dukes for working to keep me comfortable. To the first crush I had on Mrs. Huxtable. Thank God for Felicia Rashad. Had me in my feelings singing that song by James Tarr when I'm alone in my room. Sometimes I stare at the wall. I've been redeemed by black queens. I treasure you all. The strength of Layla Ali, Venus and Serena. And Hollywood is Ava, Taraji and Lena. Viola Davis, Angie Bassett is still hot. The queen with Badu versus Jill Scott. Shonda Rhimes, the architect, building on TV. And traces of the queen, Nefertiti and Riri. Lala and Nene, my goddaughter Fifi. And God bless Kobe when he left Earth with Gigi. A prism, you even bring politics rhythm. Stacey Abrams, Maxine Waters, and Shirley Chisholm. Black woman, bronze queen, brown beauty in every shade in between. Deep DNA type love, it's in my genes. Respect and protect black woman by any means. Black woman, bronze queen, brown beauty, you know what I mean. From your mind state to how you season your collard greens. Respect and protect black woman by any means. I was a young man thirsting, with energy bursting. My eyes were watching God like Zora Neale Hurston. I was young and impure, Issa Rae insecure. I wasn't sure that I was ready for Asada Shakur, but I grew to respect your intellect and your spirit. Black woman's strength feels magical when you near it. It's Aretha Franklin's voice, it's Sade Adu, Michelle Ndegeocello cello, I put scissor there too. It's a vibe, it's something impossible to describe. It's a mental connection to let you know you a tribe. It's alive, a vision to be truly free. It's Barack and Michelle, Ozzie Davis and Ruby B. Equality in me, and since my daughter's been born, I teach Tamika Mallory with a blend of Lena Horne till the dawn. Saluting all the queens on their throne, cause I learned true freedom from Nina Simone.
And what freedom is to me, no fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life, no fear. That's the closest way, that's the only way I can describe it. That's not all of it. But it is something to really, really feel.
Yeah, that's cool, dude. That one is definitely copywritten material right there.
I don't know what to tell you, baby. You're getting all frustrated.
This motherfucker.
Jeez.
And I'm not gonna lie, that's one of my favorite songs though. Like I'm like really young when that comes out. And you gotta understand, being like a 12 or 13-year-old with the smoke weed every day. I mean, come on, dude. It's over. That shit alone made that song a banger. And it was so hard to get the timing done. Like, who the fuck gets the timing on that? Like, it's so weirdly placed to perfection. Anyhow.
Yo, Nunzio, the producer on that track.
That was me and Zoo. There's a group called Kruangbin, and that's where we got it from.
I asked it
You know
for
what
a
I like
reason.
about that? You know what I like about that track? And the album. It's so tidily matched with everything. Yeah, it's not overproduced or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just perfect. Yeah, and I like that. You know.
Yo,
Well
Yo,
done,
just to
well
say
done,
that
man.
we were listening to the album earlier on the stream. Honestly, man, it's so fucking good. I fucking loved it a lot, dude. I listened to it, I think, almost 3 times in a row, and I was still really feeling it. And that's like how you know it's a good album. When it's like your third listen and you're like almost liking it more. That's the best thing I can say about it. You know, it was fucking that good to me.
I hear that, dude. I hear you. It's a beautiful thing. And like, so that's my partner, Big Zoo, right there. We got a group called Solid Ground. This is his first actual solo album. So album wise, like myself and Zoo had a group called Solid Ground, been around for a long time. We originally, it was maybe 5 people. It got almost up to about 9 people in the group. And then it went back down to just me and Zoo, which was amazing in itself. So we have an album that we put out together, you know what I mean? And that was through EO Dub called The Balance. But everything that we were doing at the time to get to doing an album became like the start of a EO Dub project. So we would make songs and then it would be like, yo, we should use that with this and then take this. And then it just became like we just were recording a bunch of stuff. So everybody's an artist. We do our thing. And at some point in 2004, we took the money that we were making from the open mic and opened up a studio called The Dojo. And this was on 10 J Street in Brooklyn, right between the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. So the view was phenomenal. There were no obstructions of the view, and it was easy to get to, and mad people would come through. And it was a great time, and it gave me, after the whole Dream Hire thing, it actually gave me a job. So I was literally back in my element, and except now I'm doing it for EO Dub. And a lot of the people that would come to the open mic would come through there. I had freaking Guru in there before.
Okay.
Rascaz came through before. Definitely Sadat X had been in there. Like a lot of
Just we had a comment on the Twitch. Is it the dojo?
The Dojo, yes.
Cool. That's so cool that these people are coming through.
Yo, it was an incredible time for me. Like I pride myself on my engineering mentality, but definitely it was also helpful with production wise because I had the MP and all this stuff in the studio. So people would come through and we would literally just create, you know what I'm saying? And like I always tell people, when we had the dojo on Sunday nights after EO Dub would be like the greatest thing in the world. Because you would have a person like Killer Nems, or just Nems now. You would have Iron Solomon, Vanguard, and whoever else you could name would come through afterwards. And then they would literally battle each other, but on some like real funny, like I'm just trying to outdo you in a humorous way. You know what I'm saying? And I think those nights are very memorable for me because of the talent of these artists and the fact that they would get together and just hang out, just to sit in the joy and splendor of the artistry. So the vibe of this whole EO Dub thing was incredible. But I do want to mention Webified before I go any further. So he was the first winner of the first MC Challenge, and we did a whole season. And at the end of that first season, we ended up with the momentum that we had gained. We ended up at BB King's on 42nd Street to do the finals of our MC Challenge. And the place got sold out. You know what I mean? So I want to say it was Mobb Deep that performed, but it might have been Brand Nubian. And pardon me for that. But
either way, those are some big names.
Yeah, and it was a great draw. But people literally were loving the MC Challenge, even if they came just to see, you know, the headliners, they literally would sit there and be like, yo, this is dope. These artists are dope. I remember Poison Pen bringing out the championship belt. He was very into wrestling, and he had one of his wrestling belts, and he brought it out like, I'm the champ. That was amazing. I'm trying to remember the people that. So I believe it was Breeze, Everflowing, Webified, Subcon, Harm, and Poison Pen. Exactly. Wow. But yes, that was a great moment. I believe Breeze was the one that ended up winning. Oh no, I'm sorry. Wasn't Breeze. It was C. Ray's Walls. C. Ray's Walls. And he actually won.
That's really cool.
But Webified was down with us, you know, and he had a lot of music that he was trying to do. We helped him to put an album together. I mixed some of the records that he had, and James funded him and put the stuff out. But then he ended up getting an opportunity to go to France to do some shows with a bunch of people that he had met. And when he went over there, he called us back like a month later, like, can you send me more CDs? Like, I sold all of them. 1, 2, I want to re-up. And 3, I want to stay out here because there's momentum and I want to try to start EO Dub out here, which he eventually made happen. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. And honestly, through France is how all the other connections happened. At some point, somebody saw the one in France, and now we got Snuff doing it in the UK. You know what I mean? And it spread to Spain. I remember that. I remember 2004 taking a 2.5 week trip out there and doing a tour with a guy named Raptious Clay as the headliner, who was very popular out in Spain. And we did a series of MC challenges in Spain with people doing it in Spanish. So it was great. But that is the defining moment, I think, would have to be doing the World Finals. Because once we finally got to a point where we were doing a World Finals, and then all of these countries would get together in one central place, and we would have them compete against each other in their native languages. So already you know that you're getting a top-notch MC because you got these countries doing a series of rounds and then their own championship to crown a champion. So you got champions against champions, and it's amazing. And one thing I always thought would deter me would be like, I don't know German, I don't know French. So when these people are spitting, I don't really know what they're talking about. So I don't know how I would judge. But yo, honestly, when people start flowing and doing their thing, it's like you could tell. And I don't ask me how, but I've been there for a whole bunch of World Finals, and I would say I was dead on almost every time. I'm gonna say 85% of the time, I picked the person that was going to win, with whether I knew what they were saying or not. Like, there's an energy about it, like you could tell. So I always implore people, like, there's a girl named KT Gorik, right? She's from Switzerland. Dude, like, I don't have to understand any word she says. Her music is phenomenal. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to it, and I know it only because she won the championship out here when we did a World Finals. And I remember watching her, and I was like, she's like the French Lauryn Hill, like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know exactly what she's saying, but the vibe I got from her was incredible. And now I'm a fan. I subscribe to her YouTube page. I buy her records. Like, it's incredible. And there's a lot of artists from EO Dub that I do the same thing with. Very good stuff.
It's really cool that you support like that. Like, your whole energy, like, just in general, like, you use your skills to give back to people, to help people. That's fucking crazy cool, man. That, like, it's just like, with your career, I guess there's a lot of ways to end up as a person, right? Like, we all know the other side of the coin. We all know the other way it could be, but I feel like it's such an honor to be able to have you here and hear your story, given the kind of man that you are today. Like, I didn't even know who you were at first when we talked, and you just gave me the biggest fucking kindness ever. I know, like, it was so cool the way you hit me up, the love you gave me. You know, like, it was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like you do this long enough. Like I'm 49 years old, right? So being in this field for the longest time, really, you could tell right off the bat what's real, what's fake. One of the things about the industry that got me down was you know, you want to hang out, you want to go to parties, you know what I'm saying? You want to meet people and do stuff. And I would go to these parties. And after a while, people would start recognizing me. Like, oh, you the engineer from Daddy's house. Like, oh, you the dude from the Dub. Like, blah, blah, blah. And you would have conversations with people. And the conversations would be like, yo, we got to get up. We got to do this. Yo, I got this plan. We're going to put this into action. And then nothing would ever happen. You know what I mean? Nobody would get back to you. You would hit them. They wouldn't call you back or whatever, what have you. And then I started realizing it's like, yo, dudes is just talking to kind of get you on their side. And it's almost like some con artist thing going on. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to flatter you and get you to like me so that at some point in time, you could do something for me or I could get you to do something, you know, to help me out in some way. But then because of that, when I'm doing Dub, I'm meeting people and you could tell that it's genuine. So now I'm at the point where I meet a person, I could pretty much right off the bat, within like 5 minutes of a conversation, know where your head's at, know whether I should even continue to talk to you or if I should shun you. Like, I believe this is nonsense you're talking.
That's
So,
real cool that you're here for a part two. Then that's all I'm gonna say.
Vibes, man. You get follow the vibes, man. I'll tell you, because they're usually not
amazing.
wrong.
I feel like in a way we're sharing what end of the week is. At least there's people in the chat. Like shout out Merker Music, shout out Ismail Gadamsi, my bad. Shout out Sammy C who was here before. Like these people are like soaking this shit up because a lot of people on my end are from Montreal, right? So like this is just crazy to see ways to make it work. And
Right.
that's what's amazing about this is that you are like if we literally listen to what you're saying, and I'm definitely taking notes in my head, and we go back and we organize, we can replicate a few of these things. And there are examples even within our city. Like there's this thing called the Cypher that's like ran years and years, and then a lot of it is the same shit. It's consistent. It's got a cool vibe. There's community because Preach and Kobe was here before. Again, positive vibes and shit. And like it's about the music. It makes it kind of like cool. And these things do exist, but do we ever really give the love to it the way we're supposed to? I don't know. So when I'm hearing you describe this kind of stuff, I'm like, yo, this is actually in my city. I just, it makes me want to go look for it. And then it makes me want to like go also replicate it elsewhere. So it's super helpful on top of you're a highly entertaining individual with good stories.
Yeah, right. Thank you. I'm gonna definitely say this too. Music wise, I think music has always been the main thing for EOW. The open mic was like an opportunity for other people and for us to find talent, like for the MC challenge, etc. But once that talent is found, and then you're getting people in the studio, like when we had the dojo to do stuff, I think that was like the most phenomenal time because we were taking the best parts of everything and actually putting it onto record. You know what I mean? So now we're doing mixtapes on the regular. Everybody's got their little vibes about them. You got Webify doing albums. Then we did a bunch of compilation albums, definition, redefinition. But I think the pinnacle was when we did the Three Kings album. So Three Kings was Vice, Pro, and Zoo. Still is. You know what I mean? And they put together a really, really, really great album. And we pushed it and it got us into a lot of places, a lot of markets. We definitely Fat Beats, if anybody knows. Fat Beats is like, that was the spot. Fat Beats had records, CDs, whatever form you were trying to get the music on. And it was like the place to go because they would have all of the new stuff, whether it was underground or mainstream. So it was like a central place you could go to, especially for hip hop. And that's what it was meant for. And I remember we did in-store with them that turned to an outdoor on 8th Street and 8th Street and 6th Ave. And literally the cops came and shut us down because we had such a large crowd there. They were like, dude, like, you can't do this. And they almost took away the wireless microphones that I borrowed from Dream Hire. But, you know, they let us live. They knew we were nice guys. It's like I said, there's a vibe and people can tell. So they definitely let us live, explain to us, if you ever want to do this again, you call us precinct in the area and you could do it. We can't stop you from doing it, but you got to organize it better than this. So that was a jewel in itself. You know what I mean? But what I would like to do is, can I share the screen and play you this video from Three Kings?
Yes. Anytime you want to do that, you can always do that.
Nice. So this one is called Born. And it's the first single off of the Three Kings album. I'm in it too, and you'll enjoy my cameo, I'm sure. Here we
Also,
go.
all y'all, go look up the video. I'm gonna go find it, and then we should all go subscribe to the channel. You know what I'm saying? That would be the nice thing to do.
Clap your hands. Clap your hands. Clap your hands. Now, get them hands. Yeah. Get them hands. Yeah. Get them hands. I see y'all clap. Yeah. We about to take it there. On the north side of Jersey, where the pumpers serve curbs, burning homegrown herbs. Where they love to intimidate, Camp Crystal Lake, PX, where it originates. On the Lower East Side, 6 Sparrow, Alphabet City. Come on, let's ride. To walk amongst kings, walk amongst kings, walk amongst kings. At an earlier age, see, I wasn't afraid, cause I carried a blade. That's my vertical made. I pull a pin out, give it the whip, spin out, lighting the clip, gripping the cup, and sit it out. Me, very ambitious, tight rambunctious, me, illest can't spit it, y'all niggas can't time. I've been battle tested, unbalanced since adolescence, transcendent, reinvented, now I stand a chest. Hat black in the region, vainglorious speaking. It's me and my legion, breathing season, I was making a pen in the pad. When the going get bad, leave you hole in your head, burn you more than dead. And what that leave nothing, y'all will keep stunting. Y'all better get them around here, it's gonna be something. And what that leave nothing, what y'all need something, y'all better get them around here, it's gonna be something. Black man with pride, trace race is the tribe, showing proof every line. I was big footed, dirt ball, nappy headed, big ball, blunt smoking outlaw. With a whole lot of vices, live my life righteous, and don't like this. To walk amongst kings, walk amongst kings, walk amongst kings. In a single parent home, my mother was my dad, my father was not there. We broken in my head, we finished the grandchild. We living with grandma, I'm sick with that asthma. We living with grandpa, we drinking the Budweiser. See through a child's eyes on the Lower East Side. I'm thugging the streetwise, I'm rather with gang ties and watching my mom's cries. Ain't you booking in the cops? I wasn't born on the block, wasn't selling the rock, but neither was I a bitch snitching, telling the cops. Learn how to be a man, learn how to hold my ground. I learned the proper time to run, gun, hold it down. Now a weapon to change when I step in the range. Can't be kept in the cage when I'm stripped in the range. Escaping education, evolved to elevation. Change my design, then my mind changed my situation. Back to the Renaissance, killing golf in the Bronx when it was in the park. I'm innocent as stuff, so go there, yeah. Flow hair, it's the ups and the one cell, there's no fair, yeah. It's so rare to live a Sunday mail. Sip the holy grail, and the biggest fucking trail. From Long's tail, from the inner ride the rail, drop tools like hell, ice cold, in the black ghetto residence is seeking leak evidence, exposed corrupt presidents. When you to bring truth to the light with the spook in this mic, through these words I recite. To walk amongst kings, walk amongst kings, walk amongst kings. I was born. Yeah, born. I was born.
Yeah.
That was a vibe.
Yes,
That was real
exactly.
enjoyable.
And that song actually got us onto MTV, and they did a thing about the 5 elements. That's also something you can find on YouTube still. It's very, very nice. And I believe if you subscribe to the EOW channel, you can find it much easier. So I definitely, that was like one of the launching pads. And when they dropped that album, there was a lot of stuff going on, a lot of touring being done. We were selling a lot of CDs hand to hand, and it was just very good financially, and brought us to a more of a professional, I guess, like entity. Like before that, I think everybody was loving EOW. They love the brand, they love the name. But once you put out something physical that you get touch and feel and hear, I think they were really like, oh, like you doing it now. You know what I'm saying? And it definitely made it easier for us to collaborate with people and make it grow. You know, the only thing I ever regretted was we haven't done that enough with our fellow countries that have been established, you know, but it's coming. It's coming. Trust me. I'm working on that. But
all I can say is in this era, it's going to be a lot easier to convince people to adopt new ways of thinking.
yes,
That is
Wait. But in saying that, you got to remember, yeah, there is an album in Uganda, there is an album in Montreal, there is an album in Prague, there's a track from Switzerland. Yeah, so there's albums out there. You lot can go find it. All Bandcamp, them thing there. But you know, there's official things where the world has combined to make a product. You get me?
all right.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
was always about that. Like, go check out the Montreal album. It's fire, man. It's
I love what you're
absolute
saying.
fire. El Catola on the track, I believe. I hope I'm saying it right as well. You get me? But he absolutely murdered the production. Monkey had some production on there. I even put production forward on that one. So like, check them out. The world has got albums out there. EOW albums are out there. It's amazing shit, man.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into that more.
Yeah, that's what's up, dude. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. Because I listen to everybody's stuff. I try to as much as possible. You know what I mean? I definitely got Mas Law's album and I love it. So, you know what I mean?
Listen, Vice has got a track on the EOW Prague album, yeah? And big up EOW Prague because the Czech Republic did it big, yeah? They sold out like their national theater and it was mad. It was absolute crazy vibes, the whole nine. But they came back with the album the next year on a flash drive, but like a credit card, you know? And they presented it to all of us and said, here's the album, boom, boom, boom. So we all had our USB boom.
Nice.
Vice has got a track on there called Thank You. And that thing there is so passionate, man. Check into that. That is bang. Yeah?
Thank you for sharing, man.
That's what's up. So I'm gonna take it back just a little bit.
Do your thing.
2004, memorable part of 2004. So not only did we start the dojo, but we also had started to host Rock Steady in the summer. So anybody knows Rock Steady crew, breakdancing, they used to do a yearly event in the summer, usually the last week of July. And it would be a series of different events, breakdancing one, there's a DJ in one. The main one was the free outdoor concert. And at the free outdoor concert, you would get all of the up and comers that you might not know of with the established veterans of hip hop. So you would get like, I definitely saw Brand Nubian before I knew who Brand Nubian was. You know what I mean? And then you get like a Lord Finesse. You would get Most Def and Talib as Black Star before the record came out. You know what I mean? But they would be on stage with Fat Joe, KRS-One. You know what I mean? The established greats that had been around for a long time. So this is like, to me, it was the greatest because I always tried to make it to that. And now my boys are hosting the shit. You know what I mean? And I get to chill backstage, meet everybody. It was like a super, super elevation for me. And then what's crazy is you go back there and you start realizing a lot of the people that you admire, you actually know now. You know what I'm saying? Like Sean P, go backstage, see him. Hey, what's up, Nuns? I'm like, oh, what is the deal? Same with General Steel. I was like, yo, this is crazy. You know, you get Elder Sensei doing his thing, and he's like bigging you up because he's been to EO Dub and performed. You know, it's a great feeling, and it makes you feel more connected to it too. It really becomes like a family thing. And you know, there's extended family, and then there's like my good friends, etc. So just seeing these people all the time was consistently a great thing. But for us, it was a big booster because you got a free outdoor concert where you're getting thousands of people to come out. They're bringing their kids and all of that, and they're watching EO Dub be represented. And we always had the uniforms. That's what we called them. You got to wear your uniform. End of the week t-shirt, whatever you got, you know, headband, Scully, whatever it is. Like you got to rock it and represent the brand. And it worked. So those Sunday nights after, because Rocksteady would do the outdoor concert was on a Sunday. So the Sunday nights, we'd announce it. We're doing the open mic. You would get a bunch of new people that would show up just because they were like, yo, you were hosting all day and I liked it. I can't imagine what the actual show would be like. So there was a lot of draw for us. And we literally became the place to go to. There's so many MCs that I speak to. They're like, yo, I had to go there. Because if you didn't go to EO End of the Week, or EO Dub as they call it, and kill it, you weren't official yet. It was like, kind of like your initiation. Like, oh, I've been there. I've been the End of the Week and I killed it. And it's like, that's a fucking kudos for you. You know what I mean? Right. So we loved it and it was great. But the international thing is probably the greatest part of End of the Week, period. You know? And I say the UK, I've been to a few of them. I never made it to France, unfortunately, but France was probably one of the biggest ones because they would go through all of these regions and do regionals and then do finals, semifinals, and finals, and they would be sold out. Like people would be outside having to wait. I remember them telling me about when they went to host one of the world finals out there. They were like, yo, you couldn't even get into the spot. There was mad people outside, 200 people outside. They couldn't get in, yet they all remained outside. You know, did this freeze up?
Fair enough. Sorry, I was just, yeah, it's freezing for a second. Give me a second. I'm just making sure everything's still working on my end. It looked like my internet was dropping.
Okay, was mine?
Sorry?
Yeah. It sounded smooth. Yeah, it sounded smooth.
You sounded smooth on my end. On my end.
So Holden's is the one. All right, cool.
Yeah, no, I think we're good now.
I'll tell you something. I'm sure it was Prague, you know, because Prague had, I believe it was 1,000 in attendance. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that was sold out before the actual show. So there was so much spillage outside, you know. They did so well, brother. So well. You know, I remember because at the end of that one, when we all sat down and said, where are we going next year? Everybody was like, damn. You know, damn.
Yeah, that's what's up. I like that. I'll tell you, that's one of the ones I always wanted to go to just because of Metal J. That's my dude. and I definitely formed a relationship with him when we did the one in Germany. Like, so I think that's the last World Finals that I went to, but that one, like all the people I met, it was like incredible. And this is what I mean by like the love that you get from your family and counterparts overseas. It was literally my birthday when I went to Germany to do the thing. So I came late at night the day before. So the very next day actually was my birthday.
Can you hang on a second? I'm having an issue with my internet at this second. I don't want you to like talk and have nothing being recorded or working, and I'm afraid that it got disconnected. Yo, I'm going to actually reset my internet because I don't know what the fuck happened here. So I'm gonna be right back.
Do you think? All right. Then let me see if I can find that. So instead of keeping it quiet, I'm gonna play some freaking music.
I was about to hold it down with you.
You know it.
You already know. Time stretch. How it go on
Yeah,
like TV? Right. On TV?
Yeah.
Gotta,
But Sin is absolutely right, dude. I'm gonna play this song. There we go. Okay.
Claro. Gracias a usted. I'm at the getting dinner, you know what I mean?
Ah, the good stuff.
Came to the steam fish place.
We love those. Cool.
Gracias.
You see it?
Steamed salmon, some steamed shrimp, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Potatoes and broccoli. Some healthy.
Ooh, here we go. This is Never, my man Sinclair and myself.
Sinclair.
They say they love you and constantly they walk away. I say I love you and girl, I'm here to stay. Choosing her over you, baby girl, was a thing to never. Cause you're mine, cause you're mine. Never. I'll show you how God meant for mortal love to be. Spread your wings and let me teach you harmony. Share this world with me and promise not to never. I give you all the love and confidence you need. I'll never leave you. Never.
Yeah, I travel halfway around the earth of all the things things I've seen, not one is as beautiful as you are. The finer things and living in a lap for luck, but without you there, it all seems subpar. Nothing can compare, there's no room for competitors out of J-Lo, Halle Berry, or the painting Mona Lisa could beat you. It's more than just your physical features, it penetrate the skin, come from deep within. When you there, it's like even if I lose, I win. Life's so fair, everything we need right here. Whipping feel cream on top of a chocolate Sinclair. Your bodyguard, protecting you when danger is near. Yeah, a mere mortal that's a genie to you. Cause any wish that you have, I will make come true. When times are bad, you need help, who come through. As soon as you call, like it ain't nothing at all. Not a thing in this world would ever make you different when it comes to you. Everything's an easy decision. My love aimed in one direction. Take a knee, pop the question. Last piece to each puzzle, call it a figure ending. Yeah. Oh, he's still having a connection problems.
That tune's nice, though.
Ah, thanks, dude.
That
You got
tune's nice.
so much new stuff.
It's a great track.
Yep. You want to play some Liddy joints, dude?
Nah, come on, let's keep on playing. Keep on playing your soundtrack and Zoos, if anything.
I am. I'm about to play another one. Got you.
Good day to you, Sazu.
We gotta go to the butters then, since there's a video for it. Boom.
Under the butters, it's where they used to hide their box cutters and other tools they use that injure one another. More murals and funerals, more crying mothers. They never truly learned what they meant to one another. The subtle hateful messages sent to one another. Failure to repay funds they lent to one another leads to brother killing brother. I seen humans born from the same mother, plotting a scheme to murder each other. It's not black on black crime, it's just crime. It just happened to be blacks involved with that crime at that time. Don't let them change up the narrative. It's the new narrative, progressive, powerful, the zoo narrative. Take it from Christopher. I shift the uplift, the listener. Share gift like rare piff, pole positioner. Delegate and administrate the commissioner. Fight sinister to free all political prisoners. The butters. Straight from the gutters, rusty razor, open your cheekbone. Lizzie bag, scam, I thought credit card cheat code. The butters. We not paying at retail. Yap a whole rack, hit the hood for the resale. Or so we steal, plus we live for the thrill. Pebble Square, Bloomingdale's, Broadway to Phil. Boosting and racking, tear through Manhattan. Hood stars with gem stars.
I apologize for that. My router decided to stop working.
Big homie got security under pressure. Run up in the outlets, layer up, hit the exit, purple label, cashmere, exotic impression out of hand. 96, 30 deep, Sherpa sheet, color of noodles, over low snow beach. I'm not playing. These mac and cheese Tims stay scuffless. In this prison of material lustrous, the butter.
Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. Mothers. Waking up late night, hear that lock click. Make sure you made it home all right with the brothers. Working to hold down each other. Are we gang or we really at war with one another? Undercovers. Late night on the stakeout, harassing shakedown. Outside of the takeout, the others. You not a part of this life though. Watching from the sidelines, watch as our lives go. The brothers. I need that by any means. Shoot a nigga, cut a nigga. Yo, I'm bloody see the judges. They throwing numbers like yard plates. 45 got us under pressure with God's grace. Full of color. When we build with one another, our momentum is sky high. Freedom or die try. Put aside my. Tap into our tribe. Elevate. Get your levels on our vibe. The butters.
Yo, appreciate everyone's patience. The best time to have your internet fucking bug out is when you're in a live. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But that's kind of what happened here. So thankfully, y'all held it down. Everybody's still with us. That's fucking cool. So I appreciate all of that. Anyhow, I guess we can get back into it. It might actually be like a Montreal thing because somebody else in Montreal shouted out in the chat here that they had internet issues at the same time. So who knows? Maybe Montreal's having a problem and it was just like a across the board thing. I don't know. Maybe not across the board. I digress. We back at it.
Yeah.
Ooh, we got it. Is that a shirt I see over there?
Yes. So I just wanted to show this if I could. You see the whole thing?
Yeah, I see the top half. If you want to go back a little bit and lift it up. There we go. That's the
All
whole
right.
thing now.
All right. So as you can see, we got the US, there's the UK, there's France, and then there's Spain, Argentina, and Brazil.
Just fucking cool.
Right? And Germany also up there. And these are like the originals. Like this is where it originally had started with the expansion. You know, eventually it got to a place here, and it's kind of backwards, but I think it will show up right because it is backwards. So
Right.
This has US, France, Sweden, Uganda, Czech Republic, Italy, South Africa, Switzerland, UK, Ireland, Canada, Belgium, Spain, Germany. Now, realizing Canada, it started in Toronto with Monica, and she rests in peace. And it eventually got to Montreal and Quebec. And, you know, that in itself is really great to me. You know, it's tough really to keep these things going, especially if you're a person doing it yourself. Like one thing that you definitely should know about End of the Week is the people that take on this responsibility to actually do these events, they're doing it on their own time, out of their own pocket, you know what I mean, in hopes to make the money back, etc. And it's like an investment, but it really takes up a lot of your time. So it's tough to keep these things going without a squad of people to back you up. So in a few cases, there's people that didn't have the support to keep it going. You know what I mean? But we always try to lend support as much as we can. But it's tough when you're in another country. It's like I could send you money and all that, but I can't physically be there to do some of the work for you. And sometimes you can't actually send the money. So we've had a roller coaster with places that have done EOW and have fallen out, but they always will exist as chapters. And if they ever want to restart, we are definitely more than happy to help and make that happen. So I think one of my greatest travels, I think as far as this whole EOW thing goes, is Germany, because we were at a point where a lot of the countries were attending. You know, so I remember meeting Sino from South Africa, and I also remember him eventually having some heart trouble, and then the community that is EOW actually got together and raised the money so that he could have the surgery that he needed. And it was successful and extended his life. So, one of the great things about EO Dub is it really is like a family. And we will do stuff like that for people in the family as much as we can. So I definitely know that a lot of people I've met have been like, EO Dub saved my life. You know what I mean? I actually said we should make a TV show and make it a series because it's just a little bit life changing for some people. It definitely was for me in the fact that I no longer needed the validation of an industry. You know what I mean? To do the music that I wanted to do, to travel, be on tours. We accomplished all of that with End of the Week, and it was kind of more on my terms than a label's terms or another person's terms. You know what I mean? That's controlling things. So that was always a beautiful thing to me that I always appreciated. But there's a lot of people that told me like they were getting in trouble, they weren't doing the right thing, and then EO Dub came along and it gave them something to focus on, participate in, and keep them out of trouble and be more beneficial to people than harmful. And I definitely, at every time I've traveled and gone to another country, I've gotten that vibe. One thing I want to say to everybody that's listening is if you ever get a chance, like people in New York, there's people that straight stay confined to a 10, 20 block radius. Like they don't even go into another borough. You know what I'm saying? Right. You could be in the Bronx and you've never traveled to Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Which to me is really crazy. But even outside of that, even on a bigger scale, like don't stay in the country that you're in. You should visit other countries because then that just opens your brain up to how things are. Because I definitely, the first one I went to was in Spain, and it was eye-opening. It was a little bit racial to me when I was out there, you know what I mean? But overall, the people that I met and actually conversed with and, hung out with were all great people. And it definitely, I'll tell you what messed me up was siesta. Like, we spend all our time working mad hard. You got some people work part-times on top of full-times. I was one of those people at the time. And when I went out to Spain, I was like, yo, these dudes straight take a 2-hour break in the middle of the day. Like, what is that about? And to the point, like we went out one day, we're like, yo, we're going to go by these churches. We're going to look around in Spain. We're going to like sightsee. And I was like, cool, let's do that. We went outside and the parking lot of the hotel had like a flea market going on. And there's mad stuff there. And we're looking like, yo, ready to buy stuff. And I'm like, yo, hold up. Let's go do our sightseeing. And when we come back, we could do that shopping. You know what I mean? But let's go stick to the plan and do it. They was like, that, let's do it. Yo, we came back at 12:30 and there was literally a street sweeper sweeping up the parking lot. All of the joints was gone. And we was like, what happened? You asked the dude inside. He's like, it's siesta now. It only happens during the day. Once we get to noon, it's over. And I was like, wow, yo. And they literally shut down till 2:00. Take a nap. There's one 24-hour spot. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, there's everybody sleep. They got the shutters on the windows, steel, some wood. Like, yo, I'm gonna go in complete darkness and take a nap. Or not, but you get your time off and then you go back to work for a couple more hours. And I always thought that always messed my head up. Like, what are we doing in America, yo? Like, y'all already got me on some 8 hours. Then I got to do overtime, do a 10, 12, 16, and then you don't want to pay me for all the time I've done. And it's real crazy. Whereas in other places, they're straight like, yo, take it easy. Like, we don't want you to kill yourself. We want you to be fresh. You know what I mean? Be good for when it's time to work. And I appreciate that. Another thing that I noticed when overseas is is it's a lot more laid back and less tense. Like where every place I've been, I've enjoyed myself, and I always will compare it to home. And I be like, yo, I don't know what we're doing in the United States, but we need to keep up with these other countries and do something for the people. You know, it's a little more people oriented, but every country, of course, has its problems with authority, etc.
No, but it's really interesting that you say that because I happen to work for a software company, and Montreal is quite an international city. It's not quite New York, but it's in a list, I guess, on the low end of that list, but still there. And so there's a lot of people I've met that weren't born here. So I work on my team with this lady who was born in Germany. And when she describes the German work culture, it's more like you go to work, you don't really have friends. You just do your shit. There's no small talk. You get your shit done. And the second you leave, it's fuck off till tomorrow. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, I don't know. Because personally, I'm not the biggest fan of all the small talk and friendliness. Like, I'm not like, it's not that I don't like my colleagues, but we have different like lives, so it's like hard to connect with them, whatever. So I'm like, yo, let's just get the work done. But no, it's all this like, hi, how are you? Let's talk about the house and the kids and all this other crap. And it's like, yo, we waste so much time. Honestly, we waste so much time at work. That's the facts of it. So work from home is actually nuts, right? Because it's got a lot of us to be more productive because we don't talk to each other, which is just nutty. But it kind of goes into the point of like maybe there is a lot to learn from a lot of these other cultures and a lot of these experiences that that we can take back home. Because I did this. I went to Pakistan one time, and what I noticed there was like this huge focus on family. Like work and stuff isn't the same. You can't really go out on your own and get a job so easily and go live on your own. But instead, everyone's just used to living in these big households with lots of people collaborating and stuff. But they weren't unhappy. They were very happy people. And I was like, yo, because if you look at how everything gets painted on like the TV, it's like, you'd think everyone's miserable if they're not from home. But you go somewhere like that and you're like, why is everyone so happy? Isn't it like aren't we living the best life ever? Then we have all this and they're like, yo, I love my family. I'm like, yo, that's a big sentence. You don't hear, not to say that it's like terrible. That's not the most common sentiment back home, is all I'm saying, compared to the love that these people have for family and community and working together. And I'm like, damn, that was hugely eye-opening for me. So I completely get where you're coming from with all that. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
But
that's
when it
why
comes,
I like when we do the world finals, because when you do the world finals, people come through and you literally hang with these people over a course of a few days, like Mas Law was saying, and you get to know them. By the time you're done, you're like, yo, this is like a new family member, and you're like tight and you love it, and you're like cheering them on when they're doing their competition. So you don't even want anybody to lose. You're like, I wish you all could be winners, but of course there has to be a winner in a competition. So, but it's a great thing, I think, just to meet new people. Like, it's something that should consistently happen with us, but we get into shells or we're not outgoing, so you don't meet people like that. But in this arena, you don't have to be outgoing to meet somebody. It's like you should meet everybody that's participating if you're participating, and that's what makes it good. And I'll bring this one up because we went and did the World Finals in London before, right? And I remember that the guy that had won was a guy named Dirty Mac, who was with us. And we took him out there, and the whole time he was so concentrated on winning that he didn't actually get the experience of building with all of these people from other countries and all this. He kind of separated himself from everything. Like, oh, I got to get this rhyme down. I got to do my thing and I got to kill it. And then what was crazy was he didn't do that well in the actual competition. But we got to the final round with the trade fours, and he traded fours with these people, and it was mad dope. And as soon as the competition was over, everything else we did for the rest of the time, he was chilling with these people. He was having a good time, rhyming back and forth. And they all like, damn, like, you should have done that during the competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you rhyming with people, but now you're at ease and there's a different vibe. And that was a lesson for myself. Like, A few people back in the States was like, yeah, I didn't think he should have won. And me, I was like, nah, that's not what it was. The problem was that we didn't sit him down and tell him how to soak in everything and enjoy himself. Like, you shouldn't have to do that. But once you see a person not doing it, it was our job to tap him on the shoulder and be like, listen, man, like, I know you want to do well in the competition, but there's more to it than just this competition. You're in another country. Like, enjoy the fact that you're with people from other places, learn about them, expand yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that was a big lesson for me in the world of EOW, because you don't get these opportunities all the time. Like, I definitely at one point in time was like, yo, I'm going to every world finals, but it hasn't ended up that way. But the ones that I went to, I loved them. You know what I mean? And I wish I could go to every single one. And I'm definitely going to the next one, especially after.
You know what I say, yeah?
Yeah,
I
please.
always say this because you see, with this end of the week, when you go to the world finals and you make these friends, you now have a passport for life. You can go to any one of these countries, holler end of the week, and you have people that will show you the real side of the country without all of the central palaver, you know? So that is another beauty at end of the week, the world passport it gives you.
That's really cool. I really love that personally.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's nuts. Like, just to like add to that, like something we were saying earlier, like this on the validation front. I think it was before my internet cut. The idea that I'm able to sit there on a Zoom call with a bunch of guys in New York, and I'm not getting booed off the Zoom call. You know, like what can Montreal say to me? You know, like what can Montreal? Because I did a bunch of freestyles and shit, right? Like, they weren't the best, but they weren't like completely garbage. So I'm like, okay, I can hold my own. And it just made me feel like fucked everything else. No offense to my city or anything, but like, if New York's okay, I'm like, that's a different thing. That's just a specialer thing, is all I'm saying. So like, what's crazy about that idea too, is I was talking to Cool Man Logan, who's also a part of the end of the week Zooms very regularly, and he was describing this moment he had back in the mid 2000s where he went to end of the week one time and like Iron Solomon signed him up and he crushed it or whatever. And he like, you know, it was just so significant to him that he never gave a fuck what anybody thought again. He just knew he could do it. And I'm like, it's such a powerful validation point too, right? Because of like all the stuff that you were like kind of bringing together in terms of the energy that it brings forth. And it's also like crazy how it got so international. Like, honestly, when I look at all the list of countries and you really, really consider it, like there's not many things in life. It's like a rap Olympics of sorts.
Mhm.
Like, is kind of what it is. And I think that's really, really cool. That like you were such a big fucking part of it. But I do want to know more about you though, because I feel like we kind of stopped in 2004 and then we went into like, I don't know, 16 years of like history compacted into like
Yeah, I feel you.
end of the week is amazing, which is dope. And I think it's actually really important to do it like that because it really does show how incredible end of the week is, right? But I do want to understand your story as well. Like you have to have had an amazing series of things happen to you between 2004 and today. You know, like
Yeah, so what I'll say is, and it's funny because I call this year the reset, right? This past year, I should say, because we're in the new year now. It was a reset for me because one of the things that happened when I worked at Daddy's house, a shaman came through and read everybody like their fortune. And when he came to me, like he had mad stuff to say with everybody else. When he came to me, he just asked me a series of questions, and every answer that I gave him was music related. And then he was like, yeah, he was like, that's what your ancestors are telling me. Like, you're a music dude. So when end of the week comes around and I'm like in the studio, that's my job at the time. You know what I mean? Like doing the dojo. I'm recording a bunch of people, making a bunch of beats, you know, and I'm just in my element. I'm rhyming on a lot of stuff. And that's like the shit to me. You know what I'm saying? Then what makes it even better is at EOW, I'm not like the main focus at EOW. You know, the three hosts are the focus, being on the, you know, guest list, the DJ, there's mad places to go outside of myself. But then when I get on stage and I do my thing, because I've been doing the door and doing the sound and mad people know me, I go and I spit and I come on stage and cats is like, yo, I didn't even know you spit like that, son. And then they be hyped, and then I get hyped. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I do that. And then it's like, but it's more of a validation. You know what I mean? So that feeling alone is like a great thing for me. I love that because I don't want to go out and brag about my accolades and the stuff I've done. But if I get on stage and I spit something and you come and you're like, yo, I was listening, I like that. Yo, that's exactly what I want and look for and need. And it feeds not only feeds my energy, it feeds my soul. You know what I'm saying? So this, with EO Dub doing all of that, it was the greatest time of my life. And then I got this job working for the Riverside Church. So the Riverside Church was built by the Rockefellers. And this is basically the Black church in Harlem, you could say. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm working there, I've done so many big events, funerals for Ruby D, you know, for like really famous people, Ornette Coleman, like you could go down the line. Percy Sutton, who was a great person, and really meeting a lot of celebrities at the time when they come through. But I was the head tech dude. So basically every event that we do in this place, I'm the one you got to go through. I got to figure out how we're going to do it, audio wise, video wise, etc. on down the line. So I am spending all of my time in this place, giving a lot of energy into making these things work. And it was literally draining me. But my one thing that kept me going was it didn't matter that I had to do Sunday service and be there at 7 a.m. By the time we get to 7 at night, I'm carrying equipment now from the church to the open mic so we can have wireless. So I got a bag with 2 wireless things, receivers in my hand, microphones, all types of stuff I'm bringing there. And I do the sound there and all of this. Got to be back at work on Monday early in the morning. Yet I stay there, don't get home till 2, and love it and enjoy it. It feeds me. And now that all of this has happened, I've gone right back to that same space now, where it's like the dojo, making beats, rhyming, putting a lot of stuff together for people. And it's like, I honestly have been put back to where I should have been the whole time. You know what I mean? So I feel like the Riverside, I was getting paid. I loved it, but it was taking away all of my energy. So the one thing that the point I'm trying to get to is EO Dub, it reciprocates the energy I put into it. You know what I mean? It's not always in full. Like the minute I give this energy, I get it back. But at some point in time, I get what I give and put into it. Whereas these other jobs that I've been doing for the longest, you give a lot, you put in a lot, but what you get back is like $35 an hour. You know what I mean? There's no extra love in it. There's no thank you so much for what you did. And I did have a few of those moments with the Dalai Lama is one of them, which was beautiful. And, you know, you feel it, but that's a spiritual thing. And that's why I feel that. So for EO Dub to me is more spiritual. Like the whole working realm does nothing for my spirit at all. And it's really just draining me. You know what I'm saying? It was the conclusion I came to after all of these years of doing stuff and not really getting what you give and put into it. People are like, fire you in a second. Like, it's like I said, so I've got people that I no longer deal with, but I'm like, yo, I'm not going to look at the one thing that might have torn apart our relationship to the point where we're not talking. I'm going to look at everything you did for me that was good and just leave it at that.
So I got to ask you a question. Can we expand more on the Dalai Lama? Like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
okay.
You
So
just like threw that in, and we're like, yeah, that's enough. And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't want to cut you off, but I'm like, that's kind of like you met the Dalai Lama.
Yes, at the church. So the Dalai Lama used to come through to the church and use our space every year. So this is in the summertime. And the first year that we did it, there was a little bit of problem with the microphones, but I fixed it in the middle of what was going on. And the people that he came with acknowledged it. So when he came the next year, they actually introduced me to him and all of this. And even though we couldn't communicate language-wise, there were people there that translated, and it was mad cool. Like, he gave me a blessing and all of that, which I think is really super amazing. And the people that he works with, right? The following year we come, and there's mad extra stuff that we got to do. And I'm telling the guy, I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. We got a week. Like, I'll make sure that this is up. I'll make sure that this works. And he was like, thank you. And he literally comes up to me and he's like, yo, like, you've made me feel so at ease and given me less stress right now. He was like, is there anything like I could do for you? And I'm like, nah, dude, like, this is my job. This is what I do. And you're one of the people I don't mind doing it for, because I feel your energy and you're doing a great thing, Dalai Lama, etc. So he goes through everything, and we do the actual event. No problems. Everything goes smooth. He comes up to me, balled up fist, like, give me a pound. Boom, puts $100 in my hand. And I'm like, dude, like, he's like, no, you can't take it. You can't give it back. I put my hands behind my back. Like, dude, you earned it. Like, I appreciate you, all of this. But they were giving out these items, a scarf, right, that the Dalai Lama had previously blessed. And that, I wanted one of them, but they had run out. You know what I mean? There were so many people that came that they didn't have anymore. Yo, and this dude comes up to me later on, and he gives me one. Like, I put one to the side just for you, because I knew you would want this item, et cetera, et cetera. I still have it too. So that's what I mean. Like, there was some reciprocation there. You know what I'm saying? And
Dude,
that's
like,
that's
there's
amazing.
so many interesting things about your story, right? Because, like, something I'm realizing is you're not like a huge attention whore, is the best way to put it. Like, you're really just like, yeah, I do my job. I do what I got to do. I'm just about the energy. I'm about the positive vibes, etc., etc. And what I noticed is in all of your stories, there's an element of you contributing to whatever it is. Even in this Dalai Lama story, you showed that you could solve a problem for him, right? It's like you were able to show value. You didn't ask for anything. It was maybe the circumstances just allowed for it to happen naturally. But at the end of the day, you also weren't like probably cocky about it. You also probably weren't like, give me something special or showboaty about it. If I remember from your last conversation with me, it's treat celebrities like they're humans, right?
Yes.
Which is great advice in my life. I would imagine if I'm going to try to get celebrities up on this channel, treat them like they're all humans, right? Like, which is really cool. But you just went through and did it. But like every part of your story, you're like, yo, let me go into this place where the church has wireless mics, and let me make sure that these mics come back to the end of the week. And there's that loyalty to it, right? Like when we think about end of the week, everybody thinks about Nunzio today, right? Like,
yeah,
that
the word that I get from everybody is selfless. They're like, yo, you're selfless. Like, you don't really think about what you're doing. You're just trying to accommodate and make stuff happen. And honestly, that's me to a T.
I would like to include the fact that there's just side, right? Like, as a guy that's been there throughout the years, right? In the crowd, on the stage sometimes, right? The three kings are this like mythical host, right? Nunzio was the guy that made sure that audio was right. When the three kings fell back from hosting, Nunzio didn't fall back from doing audio. So Nunzio has ridden throughout every era. He's been there every Sunday night, making sure every MC that graces the mic in New York City's end of the week sounds right. You know what I mean?
like throughout all 20 years. Like there was never been a point where Nunzio was like, okay, well, same as with the Three Kings, I'm gonna pass the baton of the engineer to you know, and Nunzio has taught other engineers how to engineer, you know, Jess James, the other Liddy bro, one of the other Liddy bros, you know, he's an amazing producer, incredible engineer. He'll tell you himself, the person that taught him a majority of what he knows in the engineering world is Nunzio. You know what I mean? But it's not like at some point Jess took over that engineer spot. You know what I mean? Like Nunzio has been there consistently, always and forever, the entire history of the dub that I've been there for, just being the engineer guy, like making sure that the sound is right for everything and that everybody's documented and heard. And that's just, I think, a perfect example of just how selfless the man is. You know what I mean?
I do
true.
know.
Thank you.
I know it. I know what you mean.
That. But yes, that is definitely true. It's one of those things, dude. And I'm gonna say this again. I believe I said this in the last one, right? For me, it's credit, you know, accolades and all of that isn't the main thing. The main thing is whatever the goal is, to achieve it. You know what I mean? The goal is to have a great night and make this like you know, get the video cameras and make this event that we're doing, put it to tape, make sure the vocals is good and the audio is great so we could use it later on. If that's the goal, that's what I'm aiming for. And I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. For instance, we definitely had a one of our finals for the pardon me, for the MC challenge. And we didn't have the cameras to record it, but we had cameras at the church where I was working. And I was like, yo, these are some nice cameras, high powered. I straight took 2 of them, brought them there, brought some of the people I work with, like, could you just come and record this for me? And they did it. And the beauty of that is the energy is so great at EO Dub that all of the people that I brought to go work there end up being people that come back and frequent, you know, end of the week. And it's like a calling card, honestly. One thing that's really great is when you could tell a person like, yo, do me a favor, come to end of the week just one time and check it out and just let me know what you think. And then when you introduce them, they end up coming to you at some point. Yo, you the one that brought me to EO Dub. Like, I love you for that. And blah, blah, blah. And it becomes like a big thing. Like, I introduced you to one of the greatest things in your life. You know what I'm saying? So for me, all our accolades, that's cool. But the bigger goal is to make stuff like that happen. Even if it just influences one person to be greater or do something that they weren't going to do before, that's good enough for me.
What's crazy about how you sound like the people at award speeches when they craft some bullshit to like through a PR rep. Okay. But you don't sound like you're fake about it.
No.
You're just, you sound so perfect with it. Like literally what I'm thinking about you is, first of all, you taught me something really interesting as an interviewer. Rappers are probably not the most interesting people I'm going to talk to. No, they're not. Now, some rappers like are really interesting people. Like Flaco Bayo is the kind of guy that can like hold down a conversation for 12 hours and by himself. So like in that regard, it's totally good because it's constantly good ideas. But what I'm realizing is the more producer, the engineer people, they kind of are smarter about how they approach people, right? They're smarter about all of it. And I think that while some people call it selfless, I call it genius. No, like that's just what it is. It's tactful. Like it's like if you read a 48 Laws of Power or you go look at any of these things, end of the day, it's all going to aim down to whether it's genuine, sincere, whatever. If you provide value to the world and you do it from a place of givingness, it's going to have your reputation be positively impacted, even if it's like a karma principle or whatever, right? All of it is going to boil back down to the same thing. If you put out that energy into the world, you get back that good. It's effectively the golden rule. You lived the golden rule, dude. But like you lived it. But like, look at your fucking life, okay? Like how many people have the kind of impact you have in so many places to be able to say, I influenced DMX's career.
Yo,
Like,
it's so in order to be even a good engineer, first of all, you have to be liked. Like, people want to work with a person that they like. You know what I mean? For you to be in the room while they're being creative, they have to like you. You know what I'm saying? What people get twisted is they feel like they have to talk themselves into being liked by people. But that's not the truth. The truth is your actions speak louder than words. So if you're the dude in the room, you know what I'm saying, that's not really talking, but the minute they're like, yo, could you do this for me and make this happen and blah, 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 and you make it happen and it's not a problem, people are like, oh shit, like, yo, this dude does his fucking job. And he's not like invading my space. But if I go outside of my space to talk to him, he'll talk to me. You know what I mean? And yo, that's one of those keys. Like, that's a jewel right there that a lot of people, because I've been with the people that talk too much and you end up not like, yo, I don't want that person in my session. You know what I'm saying? That's what ends up happening. The person goes to the freaking manager of the place. Like, listen, whenever I come here, that dude, nah. Okay? Like, they talk too much. They just invaded my sales. They messing scrambling my brain. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's ways to prove yourself without it always being taught, but you should also be able to talk. See, now, one of the benefits of myself is the way I've grown. I know slang talk and I know how to speak intellectually. You know what I'm saying? So we could go there. You want an intellectual conversation? I could do that. You want to talk big words? We could do that. But what I prefer to do, and I only do this because of my teaching capabilities as far as engineering goes, I've always had to dumb it down so that people understand what's going on. Like, one of the tricks to the United States is people make big money because of the vocabulary they've associated with a certain job. Like, we could all do every job in the freaking universe.
oh my
But
gosh,
the
you're right.
language gets switched so that they can exclude you from being in it. So when a
Dude.
person comes in and they're like, oh, could you hand me a VGA cable? And the person's like, what? A what? They're confused and they don't know what it is. But it's like, if you were like, yo, hand me the red, blue, green on video cables, they'd be like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? It's all
Dude,
the
I
trick.
completely empathize with you. Yo, I'm so passionate on what you just said. I wrote a song called Jargon Nonsense, and I want it to be like an ongoing series because I work in web marketing. So like when I got to work for the first time, I got into the room for my first group meeting when I got like my promotion and shit. And they were like, ARO this, CTA that, boom. And I'm like, bro, I don't know anything. And yo, you go into Google Analytics, if you don't understand what these words mean and you don't actually stop to like hover your mouse over and look it up, and even then it's useless. I actually took Google Analytics Academy and shit. So I've been for a long time like a believer that knowledge is gated, the way that wealth is gated, and the big gating mechanism is jargon and in the very fields of life. So what you're saying to me like coincides perfectly because it's such a big facts of it. And being able to code switch like that is cool. But yo, one more thing. You kind of sound like being an engineer is like being a barber. Because everything you're saying about how to deal with people comes off a lot like what a barber describes. But we also even have an engineer in the chat, and he's like going off like you're preaching the truth. It's the engineer who actually worked on the Litty Bros album. So like, you're talking about a talented guy, and he's like preaching. I hate those blabbermouths. It's fucking great, man. So like you're saying all this, and it's going off there, and that's fucking cool.
I could tell you from a perspective of somebody who didn't come from the technical world of like, you know, putting together these events, and that jargon is the way that they cut out the bullshit. That's how they know who knows what is popping and who is just there and doesn't know anything, you know? Even simple things down to an Edison. And I'm like, you mean an extension cord, bro?
Yo, dude, that's one of the ones.
Is it Edison?
Yo, people be like, yo, the Edison cable. And they'll even give you the freaking number dash whatever for a cable. And it's like, and basically an Edison cable is a 3-prong cable that you plug into the wall.
It's just an extension. You know sometimes it's 15 feet, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 50 feet,
Yep.
but it's basically just an extension cord. But you're not going to
Exactly.
call it an extension cord, you know?
Yeah. And so like I go like on the jobs I do for events, they be like, yo, pass me the IEC cable. And I'd be like, yo, why would you? It's a power cord, dude. It's all of these are the same. Why you call it an IEC? Like,
Yo, it's the
like
same
there's a
stuff on
different
a
one.
computer. Everything on a computer is a fucking stupid name for some reason. And you gotta like learn a whole. That's why people are afraid of fucking technology. It's because when you read the paragraph, it doesn't make sense. And you have to actually go and like it takes a while to learn the language to be able to just read the fucking interface, man. So like it's so interesting that to me, like we're talking about this because there's so much like truth in the power of like language just being a mechanism of control, and it just adds to the power of like why like reading and learning is so important, because being able to drop the right language in the right moment, and like you said, being able to be useful in the right moment, like to me that's how I got promoted. I was able to like do things that they didn't know how to do. They didn't know how to internet very well, and I was more internety than them. So like that actually worked in my favor. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot going on here. And in general, it's being useful that kind of makes you attractive to the world. It's not like whether or not you like it, whether or not it's fair, it's just kind of what it is. And the thing is your story is so incredible because every step of it is laced with that, even down to like when you're in high school with Zoo, it's like, how can we be more useful with this situation? And then you were able to surround yourself with these people that are like also useful. And then, I like the fact that your story is like, yo, I try to put myself in a place where I attract myself to more useful people because this is how growth and power happens. And then sure, money is nice. Like $35 an hour sounds fucking blessed because you're talking US dollars and I'm in Canada. So that's a lot more dollars than my $35. I'm saying that's a number, dude. And you're like, fuck that. Let's talk about community and grow. I'm like, yo, Nunzio has got something figured out that the Dalai Lama wants to give him some cash. What the fuck? Right? Like, is that not a nuts story? Like when you think about, yo, the Dalai Lama hooked me up.
His man,
What
though.
the
Dalai
fuck?
Lama can't do that. He would be in trouble. But I will say this too.
His peoples.
Yeah, here's something funny though, right? So the Dalai Lama, that's like a crazy job. What I didn't know is by the 4th year of doing this Dalai Lama thing, is there's an heir to the Dalai Lama. Like the Dalai Lama doesn't have to be the Dalai Lama for his entire life, right? So the guy that I've been meeting as the Dalai Lama, he's on his last couple of years, and the new guy is coming in. So we did an event with both of them. And what I noticed was, and this is no disrespect to him, I was like, this is right. This is how it should be. Is you got the people coming to get the scarves that I was talking about. And yo, dead up, I'm upstairs and I'm watching the camera angles so that they switch at the right time. Right. And then one of the angles is off, but I see the Dalai Lama. This girl walks up. So the Dalai Lama isn't really paying attention. You know what I'm saying? He's just throwing, like the people come by and he gives them one of the scarves. Like, here you go. Nods. Does a little shake of the shaker over them. It's sort of like holy water or something like that. But he does that, right? So now people are going by. He's doing it. He sees this one chick online and yo, no lie, he's like this the whole time. Like, here's your scarf. Now he's not even looking at the people. He sees this one woman and then she comes up and he's straight focused, smiles, like boom. And I was like, yo, my man, unfortunately, because he's the Dalai Lama, has not had buns. And I was like, he is there right now. Like, yo, one of these chicks, like, my day is coming. Like, I'm about to get some. So think about that, right? You do all of this righteous stuff your whole life. And now you get to the point where it's like, now, for the first time, I can actually have sex with a woman and it not be like a problem. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's some weird thing to throw out there.
No.
But
You gotta
like,
understand.
That's just a human being. You know what I mean? If it's one thing I say to people too, it's like, yo, the best thing you could do is be yourself. If you are yourself or an asshole, but that's you, then do it. Because you're gonna find the people that fucks with you for being an asshole. You know what I'm saying? It's doing all this other fake stuff and not being yourself that ruins your life, because then you're just attracting people you have no business attracting. So be yourself and you'll attract the right people. And
You still with us? It froze up on me. I don't hear it.
He froze up.
All right, so that wasn't just me, because now I'm like, did my internet die again?
No,
Is that
I
what's
already
going
know.
on? All right, no.
I know
he's
it went
back.
out.
He's back.
I know.
Okay, fair enough. No, it's all good, man. It's okay. This is the beauty of like these times. I think everyone else also is just understanding of it. Still with us? I don't know. It froze up. Okay, there you are.
Yeah,
It's back.
it's okay.
Moving
We good.
again.
Dude, I can't
Yes.
talk. I'm in the middle of something. I'll hit you back in a second. All right. All right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Messing with
Nah.
my hotspot. Yo, but like, being yourself. I'm just saying, like, is one thing. You get bullied as a kid. I definitely had that happen to me, and this is what makes it interesting. Like, staying yourself, right? So I got cats that bullied on me in elementary school, right? And I just recently had put up a GoFundMe about support in the studio and all of this stuff. And there's like 4 people from elementary school, one of which used to kind of bully up on me or want to fight me all the time. And they put money in my account. And then that same dude is hitting me up like, yo, hit this person up, hit this person up. Like, I'm telling you, they love you, man. They're going to give you something, dude. I'm telling you. And I'm just like, wow, like, that's maturity. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was talking about. Don't think about the one thing or the 2 things the person did to you that made you be like, oh, I hate this person. But think about all the good stuff.
Knowledge nuggets. Because there's some people that I didn't like back in the day who really fuck with me now, and it surprises me. Right?
Yeah.
Like, these are people that if you were to ask me 6 years ago, do I fuck with them? I'm like, no. And I would have talked a lot of shit. And now I'm like, I don't know, apparently, because you don't see them for so long. And then, I changed a lot in the last like 6-7 years and shit. So they probably did too. But maybe they were paying attention to the way I changed or whatever. I saw that happen. And it's like, it's
and
fucking
they change too. That's the thing. When you go through your own rough ride, you start to recognize, like, damn, this person that I cut off really wasn't a bad person. Like, I chose the wrong people to hang with. You know what I'm saying? I've done it before in my life too, but acknowledging it is like part of the process of healing, and then it's going to lead you to better world.
No, I feel that, man. I really do. I mean, even this whole interview process, right? Like, this has kind of done a lot for my brand. But like, it's crazy. Like, even you, fuck, dude, I owe you my life. Not like my life, but like,
But see,
like, it's
this is
fucking
what I'm
huge,
saying.
right? Like it's so big for me.
Though. This is you, right? These are the type of conversations you would have with people, right?
Big facts. This
and
is exactly it. Flacco Bale.
You're being yourself, and it's going to draw everything that you're looking for. It's when you're doing all the fake stuff that it's going to throw you out of whack. See, you yourself are putting yourself in alignment by doing this.
But there was one other part of it that was because I used to be myself, but I was negative, and I was not about community. I was about myself. Mm-hmm. So I used to be like that kind of self-centered asshole guy that like you may not like in the studio as much, like that. Okay. But along the way, I got humbled, a lot of life experiences and shit. I'm also in my 30s now, so it's kind of hard to be a young. It's a little easier to be less arrogant as I get older, and you're like, oh shit, I'm getting old now and all that shit. But I mean, I hear everybody, by the way, because I see Merkers in the comments saying that this is all me, but it's not just all me, and that's why y'all are fucking with me. It's because I know that it's the culmination of everybody, right? Like. Yo, Nunzio, you didn't have to come here and let me have some shit that Memphis fucking Bleak retweeted, okay?
Yeah, really.
You know how many cool points that shit.
But I was surprised too. Like, that's what's up.
So, like, you did that. Honestly, I didn't know there was a Memphis Bleak story coming. That was part of your shit. And it's like fucking then I'm able to put that little screenshot, which added cool points to my like Montreal arsenal of moves. Cause at the end of the day, everything I'm doing has Montreal attached to it in some way. So they're all like, oh, Holden's cooler and shit. And I'm like, I respect all that. But yo, I look at Flaco Bayo who's over there and I'm like, yo, he linked me up with this whole fucking opportunity in the first place. Sure, I did all sorts of stuff to get that. But at the end of the day, it's because of all of the different people in the journey that like allow me to be here. For me, it's like I have this list I almost keep, and it's very long now, and it's everybody ever that ever helped me for any amount, little or big, and I remember all of them because I'm that kind of guy. Like it's not because like I also remember all the bad stuff, but I try to like now focus only on the good stuff because it's better for your soul and shit. But like that's why I try to thank everyone, because otherwise I could be that arrogant asshole. It's like you have to remember, like I think that it's like a community. Your whole story is laced with community, like every fucking element. So it's like when I shifted my gear to Montreal this, Montreal that, all of a sudden Montreal was like, hey, he's speaking the right language now. I mean, that was just like, you know, it was like I had to shift my own balance. So as much as it's being true to yourself, I think the beautiful part of your story is the more altruistic nature of it. And again, I don't really think it's purely altruistic. You're aware of what you want out of the situation, but it's about the equalness of giving and getting to the same degree, and putting yourself out there like, you know what, like now I have something to offer people. So people are, so it's not just like it's an exchange now. And like I know I put myself in a place where I could offer something to people, but it still took the offering part to like make it a thing, you know, like it had to be with other people. But then on the other hand, I spent 10 months begging for reviews, okay? Or interviews. Sorry, not reviews.
I know what you mean.
10 fucking months, all of 2020, begging people. I got like here and there, a couple person came through and nobody did it. And then a couple of y'all did it. And now it's like I'm flooded. I'm already booked till February. I'm fucking going with what the fuck, dude? This is nuts. I can promise you when I said bad boy engineer Nunzio, it helped.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. But that's what I mean. Like, if this was meant to happen, though, this is not an accident that you popped up on the open mic, did your thing, and we hit it off. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, word, we need to do a song together. Like, that's what's up. And that's
cool.
coming.
You said that publicly because now I can talk about it. Because I was like,
it's happening. It's happening.
That's fucking nuts. The second he said that to me, I'm like, fuck what my city thinks. This guy worked on Bad Boy and he said I'm cool enough to work with. Fuck everybody's opinion. This guy heard a lot of my weird shit.
Yo, dude, let me tell you, there's room for everybody as long as you do it right. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it's about. And if it's one thing I can do, I can definitely elevate people's.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. It's just like it's a cool thing. I thought I had. What other stories and stuff do you have? Because you could literally talk about anything. You're just gonna educate people.
I got tons of stories. So let's see. Did I tell you about the video camera in Spain before?
No.
Okay, so we do the tour in Spain. And this is where it comes into to genius level problem solving, right? So even as a kid, if something broke in the house, like electronics wise or anything, I'll be the first person to open it up to look inside to see if I could see a problem, first of all. You know what I mean? So we go on this tour in Spain. It's the second MC challenge that we're about to do out here. They bought an expensive camera and rented it from France. So our France counterparts had come through and they were going to film everything. And I took a shower, did everything, came into the club where we were about to do our second challenge, and the camera's just sitting on the bar. So I walk up to them, I'm like, yo, why is the camera on the bar? They were like, oh, it's not working. I was like, what do you mean it's not working? They were like, it's working, but we can't see the little view screen to see what we're filming when we're filming it. And I was like, are you serious? And they're like, yeah, like, so I straight up grabbed the camera, took it in my room. Where the screen is, I started using this screwdriver. I always have the little screwdriver kit on me because of my glasses. So I was like, boom, I'm going to undo this. Boom. Took it off. Now, ironically enough, when I was on the airplane, I took the headphones, kept them in my pocket. right? So when we get there, I'm like, open it up, and I could see that the cable is frayed. There's 2 wires that are frayed because they had actually broken it before, but they
I'm with you.
Yeah. So Nunzio did clip out there because sometimes it clips out and then it like rebuffs
Yeah.
and it like
And it
catches
pops
up.
back in.
get the
There we
Are you
go.
still with us? Okay. So
Okay.
we
lost
cut
you.
out.
All right, so I opened it up, and they had crazy glued it before, and all of the crazy glue had leaked inside. So when they were turning it, instead of the cables being free, they were getting twisted every time they moved it. So basically, they were frayed. So I was like, okay, I know that I could take like some witch hazel or hydrogen peroxide, probably get rid of a lot of this extra crazy glue stuff. So did that. And then I took those headphones from the airplane, and I'm like, I'm gonna take the cable, cut it, and take the rubber that's around it, and I'm gonna use this cable and bridge the 2 cables that are now broken, and see if it works. And sure enough, I did that. Boom, plug the thing in. You can see it on the screen, and I was like, whatever you do, don't crazy glue again. Like, I got some electrical tape. We'll do that for now. Before you bring it back, you could do whatever you want. But until we get there, leave this shit alone. And we were able to do it. But that's that. I'm determined to make it happen mentality.
I appreciate that. It's a very practical thing. Like, I'm not very good at physical stuff, but put me in front of a computer and basically that's what the current reality of life seems to be. I think you have and there you are. So I just think it's incredible though. Like that, I'm like, I get kind of like not jealous, but like in awe of people who are really good at the physical kind of stuff. Like when my elliptical broke and I had to like figure out how to deal with that, dude, it was like a panic attack. It was like, oh my fucking God, what if I break it and shit? You're like, nah, I got these headphones. I got this thing here, slice it on up, boom, 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 boom. And it's so cool. Like, cause that's like an engineer mind, right? Like that's nuts. That's like fucking so cool.
That's what you're supposed to do. Like, if you don't accept defeat, you can usually overcome it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yeah, I might not fix it, but I'm damn sure going to open this up and try. Like, there's no way we could just be here and not film for the rest of the time we're out here. We're only on the second one out of 5 MC challenges. Like, this can't happen. You know what I mean? And sure enough, you got to figure, like, there's got to be some sort of spirits or whatever attached to EO Dub to make stuff happen. And sometimes the spirit will enter you, you know what I mean, to remedy things. And you just got to recognize it when it happens. You know what I mean?
I just think in a lot of ways, it's just your attitude is extremely consistent.
Yeah, but I got, I think using this attitude along the way gives you more power. It's just like if you look at Dragon Ball Z and being a Super Saiyan,
yes,
like you take lumps, but after you take the lumps, you come back stronger. You know what I'm saying? And I literally used to think like, yo, maybe I'm Super Saiyan. Because I used to play football and dudes would ran at you and hit you dumb hard and you'd be like, oh, my side. But then I get back up and I'd be like, yo, I feel stronger now. Like I'm running into the end zone now, like next time, yo. So it's like you get beat up and you could feel it later on, or you could deflect it, keep going, let it hit you later. You know what I'm saying? But you can accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish. It's tough, but it definitely takes a team. That's one thing I could tell you. Because there's definitely, I don't want to do everything, even though in most cases I can probably do everything, but it's too much taxing, You need help along the way.
The other thing about trying to do everything, like, so let's say this interview thing in my life really picked the fuck up. I haven't really had a chance to work on music in a month because I've been trying to fucking get all my ducks in a row. Thankfully, a lot of the basic logistics are now kind of almost in order. And, I'm looking at a couple of free hours, but the truth is like, this is really cool. And unfortunately, I can't like do this and necessarily go ahead and put like 10 hours into like, music. Like I can still freestyle here and there, but I'm talking like straight up, sit down with the beat or write a song. So like, like that takes time and energy and I want to fucking jump at it. I really do. but
Right.
you know, like energy comes in. So the more, that's where like delegation comes in, and you know, being able to work with people so that like you don't have to actually do every little thing by yourself, you know, and then all of a sudden you can get that creative energy to come back into your life again, and is kind of another way to like, at least what I would, at least how I've seen this world kind of play out. Because it's a lot to try to manage everything. Like I don't know. And then if you look at most successful operations in life, it's always a team. It's always a team. Look
Mm-hmm.
at businesses. Businesses aren't one person, it's teams. And
Yeah.
businesses make money. So like it's just kind of what it is. Like
Yeah.
if you want to end up getting to a point where your shit works, it kind of requires a village and shit. All that, I don't know what the right.
Yeah. I'll
This
tell
is
you
a
this. One of the things we used to do sometimes is we would get together as EO Dub and be like, yo, who does a better show than we do? You know what I'm saying? Who's the freaking really the best at this, yo? Like, we do this every week. We practice it. And yo, you cannot say that we're whack. We go into places, people don't even know us, and we kill it, and they know us now. You know what I'm saying? So it's a mentality too. As humble as I am, I would be like, yo, damn, you're right. Yo, we are the best. Like if I saw this on my own without knowing it, I would be like, yo, this is great, and look into it. So, you know, ego doesn't have to play a part, but you got to know when you're doing the right thing and when you're on fire. You know what I'm saying?
Got shout out AY and FAC for following. See, you're running your like hot game, and we get a follower just like that. That's amazing shit. No, but like I feel you though. I really do feel you. Like there's a lot of fucking love in like the idea of like understanding your role. Like, you know, basics, right? So
Yes.
basics really inspired me. Earlier this year, he but oh, I see what you're saying. That's a troll name. It's I wanna fuck. That's a fucking great name. Whatever. They're probably gonna unfollow, but I don't really care. That was a fun moment. This is the internet, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is. But Basics came at me with this crazy theory that really got me inspired. And again, and you know, at first he's all like end of the week, this, that, whatever. So he puts that in my head. So I start like paying attention. I do a Zoom or whatever. And then all of a sudden, we're on this other call. It's completely unrelated, but he's talking about this mascot theory where like everybody trying to beat a Drake, you know? And there's a Drake, but not everybody can beat a Drake.
Right.
There's only going to be the Drake. And sometimes you got to like recognize like you're not going to be the Drake. I'm like, that was like, you know, because it's just kind of what it is. Like maybe I can't be the Drake, but yo, there's totally a lot of other big old fucking lanes open that I could go jump on and be a guy in. You know what I'm saying? Like whole lot of other stuff. And then at the end of the day, maybe you go past that and you can still go and do what you wanted to do in the first place. You know, like I'm not done with music. It's just like, okay, for like 4 weeks I couldn't write. Okay, cool. But look at that. Now I'm talking to Nunzio. This is like fucking more inspiring for my soul than like a lot of other things. And at the end of the day, you got to live a little sometimes to make some great art and shit and all that good stuff. But just like, it's like a privilege, you know, just to like.
Finding yourself takes time though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand too, like one of the things that really bothers me about this country and in a lot of countries actually is the stuff that they subliminally like put into your mind. You know what I'm saying? Like the television, the way it is now, even the music, it's really geared towards leading you into a direction that you probably shouldn't be going. You know what I mean? And it's okay to think about it, but when it's the constant theme of stuff, for instance, like popping pills, that's big. Like, you know what I mean? To the point, there was a HBO show that I was watching for a little while. And then I was like, yo, like, these are high school kids, like freshmen, popping pills and doing wild, crazy stuff. Like, and I was like taken aback. Like, is this like really what's going on? And then I speak with Zoo and he's like, yeah, my daughter is like, yeah, there's a lot of people that do this. Like, there's dudes, there's girls that have had sex with like 30 people in the school. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's crazy. But then I'm like, yo, that music, if you allow it to, could lead you into this direction because that's what they're inputting into your mind. So, you know, it's being strong enough to not follow what everybody else is doing or what everyone else is saying.
I
But
mean,
that's
I
hard
just
to
want to
come by.
like add to what you're saying. I smoke a lot of weed, but I'm not gonna lie to you. Part of why I smoke a lot of weed is because a lot of the rappers I like smoke a lot of weed, and they kept talking about it. Now,
Okay, let me tell you why I smoke weed, right? So, like, I got friends, and this is crazy. Like, friends from college. I didn't smoke until I was 20 years old, but I got friends in college that smoke. Had friends in high school that smoke. Never would complain about it or bother them about it. Y'all go do it. They just wouldn't do it around me. You know what I mean? They'll go to another section, smoke, come back, and we good. You know what I mean? But then one day I'm like, yo, I want to try this. You know what I'm saying? And the reason I wanted to try it was Cypress Hill. So me and Zoo, like no lie, my boy, his pops has a record store, and Zoo went to it. I couldn't make it that day, but Zoo went. And we in the back of the Source magazine, we saw the Cypress Hill symbol, right? But we didn't know what it was. And when he went in there, this dude laid out all of the new stuff that came in, and Zoo saw a cassette that had the Cypress Hill thing on it. And he was like, yo, I remember seeing this in the back of the Source. He's like, yo, I'm gonna grab this one. He grabbed a couple of things. But yo, we listened to that in his whip driving around, and we were freaking blown away. I was like, yo, do they rap this way because they smoke weed, yo? Like, is that what this is? Like, you know, because I don't know, but I was literally like, yo, this shit is fire. Like, I don't even smoke weed, and this shit is like, stoned is the way of the walk. I was like, oh! Yo, Pigs was the first thing that came on. And as soon as we heard it, we rewound the shit before we even listened to anything else. Like, yeah, Pigs, cops, yo, tough. So it literally influenced me to the point where I was like, yo, I want to try this. I want to see what they're talking about.
I also didn't start till I was like 20, 21. I had moved out. Like, I mean, I tried it once with a girl when I was like 17, but that was different because there was a girl there. But like, I didn't really try it until like I was 20. And then I got into it heavy. But a lot of it was like, I swear, like, I mean, I grew up in like the 2003-ish era. Like, even 50 Cent was faking being high for that record. He's gone on wax and said that, but he faked being high on Get Rich or Die Trying for that. And it's a weed banger. Like, it's actually a surprisingly good song for a guy who isn't really that into it.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was like fucking it's nifty because when you're talking about the influence of pills now, it's a completely different world.
Yeah,
I did it. I've never fucked with painkillers. So like to me, I don't really get it. Like one time I accidentally did too much cough syrup or codeine because I swear I did tablespoons instead of teaspoons. I did it wrong.
Oh wow.
I got fucked up and I was recording a podcast. It's wavy. It's still on the internet. It's an Easter egg for anyone that finds it.
Wavy.
But I actually, what's crazy though, is I completely fucking understood trap music a little bit better. It was like Future and shit, like actually did hit me a little bit different because I was like, oh, like I was the only time in my life. I'm not really into that kind of a vibe. I'm not down for it, but it's also like, yo, the Black Eyed Peas and Drake sound great when you're drunk. Okay. You're like drunk. Drake's fucking amazing. Okay. Like, I don't care what you're saying. I mean, if you're like mad stoned in your bedroom in a pensive mood, like what the fuck are you getting out of they know. But you in the club with everybody else singing that shit, man, those are memories. And I'm like, I don't know. I also had like I feel like there's a lot of correlations between it, but there's this idea between pushing the drugs versus having stuff that's good for being high. Like if like it's one thing for consent because you're like an adult when you get into weed. Or
Yeah,
you're an adult an adult in Canada, not in your country.
So the problem to me really is the audience that you're hitting. It's not like a grown people who can make these decisions or not be influenced by what you're telling them. You know what I'm saying? But you're hitting an audience of people consumers that are just aging and growing and just learning about life, and they're getting influenced because everybody keeps saying to do it. You understand? And what I don't think other people understand is this is why the government ain't coming down on hip hop no more, because they was coming down on it before. You know what I mean? When we got to 2000, they was like, nah, we trying to get this shit off the streets. We don't want motherfuckers listening to Public Enemy and, you know, and actually, you know, learning something and possibly rebelling against us and blah, blah, blah. But once the music got to this point where they're talking about a lot, you don't hear them knocking it down. Like they got that WAP song is mad popular. A few people complained about it, but it's still getting played. Ain't nobody stopping from being played. But to me, that's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like a part of life. It just shouldn't be the main fucking single on your record. There should be something else as the main single, and you get to that eventually when you listen to the record. You know what I mean? Like it's a little too much because I definitely Perks. I've had one before because I had a back injury, and I was like, I'm never taking this again. The way it had me feeling, I was like, yo, I could barely make it to the freaking bed. Like I'm slumped up in the freaking chair trying to do some shit on the internet. And it was like, yo, nah, I can't do this. And I never did it again. And I never will. You know what I'm saying? But other people do it and they're like, yo, that's so crazy.
But there's like a whole generation of kids that were like 3 and 4. They're probably a couple years older now that were just sitting there in cars listening to Percocet, Molly Percocet, because I never got censored, right? And now, like, I'm not a parent, okay? So like sometimes like I'm just trying, but I also like think about being a parent maybe in the future. I don't know if she's listening. Maybe it happens, whatever it is. But like, let's say that happens, right? And like, I don't know. I remember every song from when I'm a kid. I remember Short Dick Man. It's an awful song, but I remember it, right? Like it's a weird song. Teeny weeny eeny. Like, why do I know this shit? I was like a fucking kid, right? Like that's a weird song to hear on the radio. Like I'm not saying it was late night and my dad was there. It was more why was I in the car? But I remember this shit. But this Future song is like broad daylight. Like parents just playing it. Like you'll hear it in the grocery store level of fucking accessibility now. And then it's weird. And if you really want to go down conspiracy theory land, there's ideas that like there's this weird idea of pushing American kids into pill addiction on all sorts of levels. Really like those little fucking YouTube conspiracies where like the kids running the pills were crept in out of nowhere. I don't have proof for any of this stuff, but there's so many weirdnesses about pushing pills on kids. And it's also just happens to be a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Right.
Just so happens to be one.
Right. So did you ever hear you know NWA? Did you ever hear Fuck the Police on the radio?
No, but I was also born in 87.
Okay, that's true. That is true. So it's like I could hear that record maybe on an underground station, right? Late at night. But you wouldn't hear that on the radio. And it's because of the content. Like you can't just put that idea out there. But then I'm like, but then how are you playing this song telling people to pop pills? And then I'll hear 2 or 3 of them in a row, or better yet, they'll play it in the first hour of listening to the radio, and then they'll play it twice in the second hour of the same freaking DJ. You know what I'm saying? So it's like repetitive, 1, but 2, you got to look at it in the scheme of things. The pharmaceuticals are big business. They make a lot of money. So they have a lot invested, I'm sure, into the country. And then you're not going to be like, yo, I'm not going to shun it because it's making these people money and they pretty much run shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole level to it, politically as well as socially. But it's like, I always say people like recognize what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a song that your kids should be listening to. You know what I mean? There's other songs, there's plenty of other ones. Even if you play them the instrumental, that's fine, but don't go there. You know what I'm saying?
It's just like a weird normalization. And it's also like it's really widespread, the issue. Like, again, it's not something I personally have like gone a lot with. I never just moved in those circles, but my brother moved in those circles for a minute. the whole rave scene, and it gets desperate. Like, it gets really desperate is what I learned about that world. And it kind of almost kept me away from it. Like, I mean, certainly I've done a couple of MDMAs here and there, but mostly that was about sexy time with a girl than about partying, which is a very different experience. And I'm just saying it is what it is. I encourage the sexy time controlled version. I don't know if I'm encouraging kids to go do pills at a rave. But like, I don't know, man. It's like, it scares me a little bit because, like, weed is interesting because it turned out it was medicine. Hey, look at that. Like, a lot of people actually, but like, a lot of this other shit is just kind of out there, and the government's fucking weird about how they treat drugs. Like, really fucking weird. Even like, Canada's just as fucking weird. It's all sorts of strange shit. Like, I know I've seen magic mushroom ads on Facebook. I think they're gonna try and legalize it soon or something. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know, but like, I've seen ads for it, like, pushed to me on Facebook, and I'm like, this is fucking weird, right? Like, why is Facebook letting them sell me magic mushrooms? Now I know, but I also know a lot of people who microdose on that shit. And I'm not saying right or wrongs or anything. Like, listen, I've done some mushrooms too. That's some ethereal shit. It's totally like funnily enough, from what my research into that is, because I had to do it for a paper one time, it's like the healthiest drug you could take is mushrooms if you get the good ones, the psilocybin ones, because it's like food poisoning and then it's out your system and it has no real long-lasting harmful effects. So in theory, if you're in a controlled setting with a supervisor that's going to make sure you don't trip balls too proud, it's a good time. But again, it's all about like fucking things. Oh, apparently legal shrooms is coming. Microdosing is like whatever. So like, but it's all about education. And I think that's the big issue, at least where I think Canada has a teensy advantage, is our education system's a little more open-minded. Like, man, I did this thing on sex ed across the states because I was fascinated by how like you can almost go like district to district and have different regulations about what's allowed to be taught. So if like kids learn about condoms over there and his cousin's not learning about condoms over there, right? Like, that is some mixed ass fucking information that's being going around. You know what's crazy? The CDC doesn't actually have any stats on condom issues since 2000 because of some religious lobbying. So there's not even publicly available information in the America right now about the effectiveness of condoms.
That's because they started making the condoms and they don't work. They break easily. I'm just letting you know. The pyramid used to have a freaking huge container of them. And I'd be like, yo, NYC condoms. Like, nah, them things are terrible. I'll let you know. Don't ever use it. Put it that way. But I will say this: the mushrooms though is natural. Like, that's from Earth, so that's different. I mean, man-made pharmaceuticals are the things that I'm talking about. Anything that people are combining things together to make, and it's not like from the earth or natural, not with it. Like, you could take me to the woods and the rainforest, and a dude that's got his balls out, you know what I'm saying, with a little feather covering it from an indigenous person could come and be like, yo, take this and blah, and I might try it as long as it's natural. But I ain't going to a pharmacist and getting anything from them to help cure anything that I've got. All these pharmaceuticals do is hurt people, man. And it alters your freaking mind. And I'm not with that.
Honestly, I can see that, man. So like, I got some, like, I once upon a time tried antidepressants for about 6 months, and it was the worst. It was the worst 6 months of my life. And maybe I didn't feel as like sad or whatever, but like, you're 21. What I learned is most people are just kind of sad at 21. It's just actually kind of normal, right? Like, and then, so like, I just numbed myself for like, I wasted 6 months of life, and the consequences of that were like disastrous. It was disastrous what ended up happening because I did that. And then it took even longer to get back to normal because you got to flush these drugs out your fucking systems. And what is normal? Like, you didn't learn at this pivotal point in time because I got numbed out. Now, weed, I smoke a lot of pot, and I don't do it to get high. I don't really get that high, not the amount that I smoke, right? Like, come on, it's not how it works, right? My tolerance is insane. But what it does do is it lets me kind of meditate more, in a sense. Even like on the spot, I'm able to like filter and go and prioritize a little bit better. So like, to me, it's really like a medicine thing. And so it's kind of cool that it's getting legalized and shit. Now, is it legal in New York? Is it being legalized? What's the legal status up by you? Or you're in Jersey. You're in Jersey. You're not even in New York.
Exactly.
It's decriminalized, but it's still illegal, and they still haven't like passed the laws to make it sellable product. The only thing you could sell in New York City is CBD.
And what's the situation in New Jersey? I forgot
New
for a
Jersey is
second.
legalized, right? We probably have about a year or so to go before it's like really in effect. But you could walk around, I think, with up to 6 ounces. It might be 7, and not be and get in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, honestly, dude, like every United States country is going to do this just because the places where it is legalized, they are making billions of dollars per year. You know what I mean? And you cannot front on that. And seriously, it doesn't harm anybody. Like if you overdose on weed, you pass out. You go to the toilet bowl and keep throwing up. You know what I mean?
For real.
Like, it's like the worst that'll happen.
So as Merker in the chat was just saying, because you said 6-7 ounces. You know what's nuts about Quebec or Canada? 30 grams at a fucking time per person. Do you know how okay, so literally what we have to do to go to the store properly, because sometimes they don't always have the good shit. And it's all government controlled. So like, listen, you have your boys, but like you also want to have on wax that you're buying legal weed. It's just a smart thing to do, right? Now that we know we're allowed to come to your country and nobody gives a shit about that, because at first it was a little scary and they're like, the states might block you if you buy pot, and then it never happened. So I'm like, oh, okay. It is what it is. So you have to go in, buy your 30, like walk out, go back in, buy another 30, and everybody just does this. Because I bought a 3.5 a hash. A 3.5 a hash counts as 14 grams of my 30. And I'm like, what? And then it's like, it's just like whatever. But like now there's lines and it's just fucking annoying because then you got to go all the way back to it. It's like, fuck, man. So it's a weird rule to have a 30 gram, but basically the government does not want competition here. There is actually a squad of police officers dedicated to fighting black market people. It's not like huge, and it's really not about whatever. They want to, on wax, they can put me in jail for buying black market weed. They're not probably going to do it, but they're trying to say, don't buy black market. It's actually kind of like crazy, some of the laws, how they manifested, because I was very comfortable with the old nobody gives a fuck system. Now there's like $1,000 ticket in this part of Montreal because this part of the city said no weed. So literally where my day job is, when I would smoke a joint walking back to the bus, I'm literally risking a fucking $1,000 ticket or more. And I'm like, this is stupid. Before nobody cared. But now like the cities were able to be like, yo, we can make some serious bank off this shit. They passed this law where like I could get evicted because they were able to change my lease over weed shits. I can't even smoke weed on my balcony legally. I pay my rent on time, so they don't really care about me. But in theory, I think it's a gentrification move. I think that this law came into effect to get people who smoke pot in certain neighborhoods out of their fucking things like that, because there's no way about it. They could change your lease and then like that fucking evict you. I don't think I'm the right demographic of who they're going for, to be honest with you. But I definitely think that's who did it, because it's the landlord association that made that shit a real fucking thing. I'm like, yo, there's so fucking weird ass shit that goes into this all, man.
It's all just in case I want to. That's what those laws are. In case I want to throw you in jail, in case I want to get you out of my apartment building. That's what these things are. They're just little things that they're like, oh, but I could use this to get rid of you. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, they're aiming for a certain demographic. That's for sure. But these are like foolish laws that they use to get you. Because I'm going to tell you, I got busted with 3.5 on me, right? And in Jersey. And I went to the court appearance. And I go there and they're like, okay, so you had 3.5 on you. I was like, yes, I did. Like guilty. Didn't get a lawyer or none of that. The chick hits the joint, $1,000. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean $1,000? Like, it's 3.5 grams. This shit costs $50 at most. Like, why am I getting charged $1,000? But then, you know, I was getting notices, letters from lawyers as soon as I got busted. Like, and I'm like, first of all, I don't know no lawyers to be sending me this type of information, but once you get busted, it automatically gets sent to them. And then I actually opened a few of the letters after, and you know what the fee was to get them to get me off? $1,000. So you see, like, I could have a record and pay them $1,000 and still have weed on my record, or I could go to a lawyer, give them $1,000 and have it wiped from my record and not pay anything. But I just paid you $1,000. So that's how it works. You know, at least out here, the judicial system is on some, well, you could get off, but the only way that's going to happen is by you paying a lawyer. And guess what? All of the lawyers that get paid are in their system, because as soon as you get busted, those lawyers are sending you letters to your address, because once you get busted, they got all your info attached to it, to the offense.
Yo, that's nuts. Like, I didn't know any of that. Like, I mean, it makes sense because I know parallel things.
Right.
But, like, I didn't know any of that. And I'm like, wow, that's like fucking big. There's so much exploitation and play with that shit, right?
You know what I mean?
Especially when you look
There's a
at
bigger system to the system that we're living under. And if people is getting theirs out of it, believe me. So, you know, it's a little crazy. But unfortunately, I got to get out of here.
worries, man.
3 hours and 20 minutes this time. Oh, that's funny. But
Well,
any
I
other
appreciate
questions
that.
that you got before I go? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think we're cool. I mean, in the future, we can always talk again. You're always welcome to come back. I mean, we can always stretch it, but we can
I'd
totally
like to
get.
take a moment. I'd like to take a moment real quick, you know what I mean? To like say to anybody who's in the chat anybody who's watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you might be watching, if you're still watching and you enjoyed everything that you heard and you appreciate all the nuggets that you got from Nunzio, please hit up his Instagram, right? And there's a GoFundMe going for the new dojo, like we talked about, and we'd appreciate any and every donation that anybody can give. Everything is appreciated, from a penny to the dollars. We appreciate everybody who can donate, and if you can't, just make sure that you hit up his channel and start streaming Big Zoo's new album, so that you know, those streams can go up and there's money coming in through there.
So yeah, I linked both of those in the chat though. So at least for the Twitch people on my side, it's right there. But yo, Nunzio, thank you again, man. It's a big pleasure to have you here. Thank you all who are watching. It's pretty fucking amazing to see all of these different people here every single time. They like just seeing a consistent group of people coming back again. Cause yo, it's a bigger number of a core audience, we can say, on my side of things than there was before, which is just fucking cool. You know, like it's just fucking like amazing. And I think you're a huge part of that, like happening, you know, like just a huge part of it. So thank you for that. Anybody that's watching this in the future on YouTube, when we get the edited copy of blah, blah, blah down the line, definitely check out the links in description for all that good stuff. If you happen to see a clip of this in the future, you're not going to see the outro in the clip, but if you do, whatever, link in description, check all that shit out. Also, just special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, CJ Blackrock, and Linda Williams, and Scribble. They're dope. Support what we do. And if you also want to support what we do, if you're on Twitch, there's a little subscribe button. And for everybody else, patreon.com/behindthatsuit. That's what it is. Just a little pluggy plug. And at the end of the day, I just want to say thank you again for being here, Nunzio. It was fucking amazing. Honestly, your stories are riveting.
Always a pleasure, dude. And let me just spell my name, because people always do it wrong. It's Nonezeo.
Yo, it's right. It's cool, man. Definitely going to do that. Oh, why am I on the camera? You should be on camera. Anyway, definitely appreciate you, Stills, man. Live long and prosper, everybody. I totally appreciate that. And I know you got to go, Nunzio. You can have yourself a good day. And thank you so much for being here. And yeah, that's real cool.
Good evening,
So-
everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening.
You too. So now I have Flaco Bayo up just because the stream is still there. It is still live at the